I turned 45 today. That's right. 45 years old. Thanks, Ross, Lewis Ocean, Mick D, and Tina for the birthday wishes. Appreciate all of you. I'm actually enjoying sitting here right now, kind of resting, relaxing. I got a lot of stuff to do. Nano 505, thanks so much for the birthday wish. I've been busy. I don't know. For the last 4 hours, I've been doing my merch shop, right? You can see the link right here that's scrolling by, plus links in the description in case you're interested. I've just been uploading images and doing different stuff in my merch shop, trying to provide more stuff for people in case they're interested in getting it. Praise the Lord every day. Thank you for the birthday wish. Appreciate that. Man, all these birthday wishes from people. Holy crap. We got him. We got there. We got there. Man. There. I feel blessed. I feel blessed to have all of you here. I put out some stuff. Brian, you live in a zoo. Oh, so childish, but I know it's expected. Yeah, I don't know about a zoo, but, you know, my wife is out there screaming at me. Thank you, plain folks. Appreciate that. Colts Talk. Thank you. Patriots update. Appreciate that. Man, I'll tell you what. 45 is a heck of an age. You know, I've been following the NFL since I was wee little child. And now I've been a huge Colts fan since they moved to Indianapolis. And it's nice. I'll tell you, it's nice. A lot of people right now are Colts fans when it comes to that way is in a situation where, you know, that they might have an up and down year and people want to say, oh, you know, and just start complaining, you know, fair weather fans. But, you know, when you're like the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Patriots or the Colts and you're just used to a long term and then you get a bad season or two and you just start complaining. I think back to the times when I was a Colt fan, and for the first 20 years of that, it was awful, right? I mean, we made the playoffs, I think, 3 times in the first 20 years of being a Colts fan. Ross says, happy birthday to my boy Lawrence. Won't be able to watch live since I'm on the road. Much respect. Thank you so much for the $5 donation. I really, really appreciate that. And that's okay. I understand you're on the road because it's a holiday, right? It's a holiday weekend. We got Good Friday yesterday. My son, he turned 16 yesterday. I turned 45 today. Tomorrow is Easter. Everybody's trying to get around to their family. So I understand. But I appreciate you spending a little bit of time here and just at least saying happy birthday. Really appreciate it. Can't stay for long, one day before Easter, but happy. Thank you. Matthew St. Thomas. Thank you, Matthew St. Thomas. Thanks for the birthday wishes. Appreciate you. Kelvin Beatty, again, thanks a lot. We can still remember the really bad Colts. That's right. We've been around long. We've been around a long time. And we know what it's like. So when we make the playoffs, we're just glad we made the playoffs, right? We all remember that meme, playoffs. Colts talking more. I just realized you have 1.28K subscribers. Congrats. You have more than me on Instagram now. I have 1.1K. Yeah, I don't really get on Instagram that much. I really don't. So I need to more often, but I haven't been there. You know, I haven't really. I don't know much. I'm an older fella, and I don't know a lot. All I know about Instagram is like recording videos and uploading it to it. You know, little quick shout out videos with my phone. I probably ought to do that more often, just give my instantaneous thoughts on stuff. That'd be cool. That one guy says, been with the Colts since the Captain Comeback days. There you go, Harbaugh. Born in 86, remember Stewart's game-winning touchdown AFC championship. Absolutely. It's always fun. Wyatt, my man Wyatt, thank you for showing up. I haven't seen you in the chats in a while. I really appreciate that. Happy 45th circle around the sun. Well, I'm on the earth and it's doing that, so it's always great to sit here and chill with all my Colts fans, whether or not it's Colts Patriots fans. I got guys who come in here that are Steelers fans. I got Patriots fans. I got Cleveland fans. I got Philly fans. If you're a fan of another team, let me know, because I'll tell you what, I love just covering the NFL, and it's great just to be a fan of the NFL. It's the greatest sport on earth. Now, granted, my boy Ray will probably say that soccer's the greatest sport on earth, or he might say football. I don't know, or American football. But I still say American football is by far the greatest sport on earth. It is the team sport, right? It's that sport that, yes, individual effort can get you somewhere, but not like the NFL, where you need everybody on the field to do their job, right? And that's why Darius Leonard, beginning of the season, right? Beginning of this offseason, when he says, if you're looking to come to Indianapolis, prepare to bring a lunchbox, right? And put it all on the field at practice, because it's about the team, not about the individual. And that's coming from a all-pro linebacker, right? Who, as an individual, plays incredibly well. And yet he understands that he cannot do what he does without the other 10 guys on the field with him, plus his coaches and stuff, right? Ultimate team sport. I completely and utterly agree. Brian, thank you for the $5 super chat. Appreciate that. Is there a cake? I like chocolate. Happy birthday. I like just plain white cake with white icing. And my grandmother, who passed away the beginning of last season, was a pastry chef. She used to make all of my cakes growing up. And it got to the point where I was getting cakes all the time. And so I started asking for either pies or cherry delight, which is kind of like cheesecake, but a little bit lighter, more whipped, right? Love cherry delight. It's like my favorite dessert. I haven't had it in forever. My grandmother passed. I know how to make it. I just haven't had it in a while. I do have chocolate satin pie downstairs and key lime pie that I bought between me and my son, because my son is not really a big cake person either. So we just decided we're going to go pies this year. We like pie. We're going to go with pie. I asked my daughter to run to the store for me to get me a soda, because I'm not a drinker. I don't really do alcohol too much. I don't like the taste of wine or champagne. Beer, I might have one every 5 years or something, just because, a different taste of a drink, but I'm not really big into catching a buzz or anything. So, but I got a lot of family in right now. They're downstairs hanging out, just chilling and doing stuff, bringing my grandson over with my daughter and my daughter-in-law. So got a lot of birthday wishes on Twitter and on Facebook. So thank you so much. If you're part of that, appreciate it very, very much. Huge deal. Wow. Oh, I also want to give out a shout out to Joe Thornburg, who I believe is a Steelers fan. And he is the first person to buy merchandise from my merch store, right? Right down here as you see it, it's scrolling across right now. Merch shop donations, streamlabs.com/LawrenceOwen/merch. He bought a shirt and a mug, right? Great stuff. Love my merch shop. If you want to see what my merch shop looks like, we'll give you a little. Oh my, that's interesting. So let's check out what my merch shop looks like. I'll share the screen. I like a lot of the stuff that's there. Share screen. Chrome, and no, there we are. Share. And this is the stuff I have on my merch shop, right? I've been designing it, so forgive me if it ain't that great. This is just a plain sweater, hooded sweater. Thank you so much, honey.
Love you, Dad. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Love you too. It's a sweatshirt, and it says Colts Law on the front. We got a champion packable jacket, Colts Law, and of course a t-shirt. As we scroll down, you got a nice champion backpack. We got a Colts Law mug. We got a hat with an embroidered Colts Law on the front. We got a V-neck tee. I love this sweatshirt because it's got the front, and then when you go to the back, we'll click on that, and it says "Have a good one" on the back, because you know that's me. That's how I end my streams. You know, that's kind of my catchphrase. So, and it comes in multiple colors. So if you're a chick, you know, a woman, you want pink, we got navy, we got gray, and of course we got white. So that's awesome. Scrolling through here, we got phone cases, whether it be iPhone, Samsung, stuff like that, a mouse pad, a Have a Good One coffee mug that has Have a Good One on one side and then it flips over, picture frames, journals, bags, another hat, a bag, and of course a beanie. So I just wanted to say, hey, that's what I got so far. I don't know if it's something that interests you at all. If it does, great. If it doesn't, then, you know, whatever. Let's get back into what we got here. Tina says, Lawrence, you're in Indiana. It's pop, not soda. Well, to be fair, it's Invisible Mountain Dew is what it is. I say soda because everyone else says pop. Okay. And I like being different. And to be technical, I mean, when it first came out, it was called soda pop. So I actually think that soda is the way I want to go. But I respect everyone who says whatever they do. I don't care if they say bubbly fizz. Jonathan, happy birthday from England. My guy. Have fun. Yep, these are great days. My first Colt quarterback was ooh, really? Only player who made the Pro Bowl. Then the punter was Ron Stark. I remember Ron Stark. Great punter, too. Great punter. Yes, sir. Joseph was that guy who, you know, first got. Matthew says, I cannot wait for the schedule release. I've been waiting for the Colts home game on my birthday weekend since 2018. First time I visited Indiana. They are due. And I'm not going to disagree, man. Not disagreeing whatsoever. I can't wait for the schedule as well so that we can actually decide, you know, buying tickets, right? Find out who's going to be where, what, when, and how. Jason, thank you so much for the birthday wish. Joe says he pulls for the Colts too. My aunt and uncle have lived in Indianapolis since the 80s. Oh. Brian says, nice shop. I think so too. Primetime games over under 2.5. I'm going to go over just because of the type. Now, overall, I'm going to say over because of how many really good teams the Colts play this year. Home primetime games. That's the key. We haven't had one of those in over 5 years. I expect the Colts to at least get one this year. Teddy says he also hit 45. Talk about preseason to me. 3 preseason games, right? I don't know who the preseason teams are. I think that was listed, but I didn't look. But I expect to see guys that I want to be able to see in this is definitely Jacob Eason, both quarterbacks, right? I mean, Carson Wentz, Jacob Eason, those are guys I want to see in the preseason, kind of get some reps in live action games. I think that'd be fun to watch. Mick says, where's all the Browns gear? Told you I had a Browns fan in here. What's up, Mick? Sorry, my guy. I am a Colts guy. They drink soda in New York. Oh, see, I didn't know that. It's pop in Fort Wayne as well. Yeah, I get it. I understand. Give my boy Lawrence a 45th birthday. Spam the comment. Oh, well, thank you. Appreciate it very much. Mick says he remembers when the Colts moved from Baltimore. I remember times like that too. I do. That was when I became a Colts fan. You know, the Mayflower trucks, right? It was a big deal. Huge deal. A lot of your OG Ravens fans today, they're still a little bit bitter over that. But it's a new day. They got a new team, and they do well too. So speaking of wearables, I remember a Colts Fedora that was around once, and I can't seem to find it anywhere. I don't have fedoras in my merch shop. I've got like bucket hats and visors and stuff like that I haven't designed yet, but I plan on looking at it. Oh, where's it at? There we are. Old as dirt. Yeah, me too. I mean, I'm 45, so, you know, it happens. But that, you know what that means? You know what that means? That means that we are just, you know, seasoned, experienced, distinguished. I gotta say something, right? As men, we really don't worry about aging too much. At least I don't. I don't care. You know what every year that I get older means it's another year that I survive this world. And I'm proud of that fact, you know? Jamie says, can't stay tonight, but I wanted to wish you happy. Thank you so much, Jamie. Thank you so much for showing up. Hill says, happy birthday as well. Appreciate you being here. Guys, don't forget, if you're here, smash that like button. All right, subscribe if you're not subscribed, but definitely if you're going to pop in, hit the like button at least. Let me know that you were here. The more likes, the better. I'd like to see 100 likes tonight. I haven't had 100 like live stream. I don't think I've ever had a 100 like live stream, right? So that'll be new. I've had it hit 100 likes afterwards, but not during the stream. So if we could get 100 likes during the stream, that'd be so great. I'm still kind of chilling, waiting in the Twitter feed. I got people messaging me. So everybody that messaged, I had some people that said they'll be able to make it, and now they're backing out because they just realized that it was a holiday season. Cody, Derek, it's all good. I understand. They have holiday stuff. Kevin Bowen said that he had his brother-in-law's wedding that he has to go to. So, you know, that was something. Jake says Jake Arthur says he's got family stuff. Now, Colts Talk on YouTube said he should show up. And Michael said that he might show up. So, that'd be awesome if they can all come in. Hey, guys, some of you that are my hardcore followers, that's been here since the beginning, that's just loyal guys and girls that are here. If you're interested in joining the stream, DM me on Twitter. All right. If you DM me on Twitter, I'll give you the link to the stream. I'll let you join. All right. You got to follow the YouTube rules, no cussing and nasty stuff, things like that. But you're welcome to join because it's my birthday bash. And anyone that wants to come in and join and talk Colts and just talk general, that'd be great. So just hit me up on Twitter. Let me find, do I have Twitter? Let me create it here. My Twitter is, one moment, at Colts_law. And I am going to drop that right here. Bam. That's it. That is my Twitter feed. If you're not following me, go ahead and follow. Anyone who follows me during this live stream, I will follow back. Okay? If you follow me during this live stream, if I'm not following you and you're already following me, what you can do is unfollow me and refollow me back, and then I will follow you. As long as it happens during this live stream, I will do so. Okay? But yeah, if you want in there, just DM me and I'll see if I can't get you in. Plain Folk says the punter and kicker both made the Pro Bowl and signed my hat in the basement above our bar. One was Hunter, the punter. Can't think of the kicker's name. We've always had great kickers. Was that oh good Lord. Yeah, the Canadian kicker, the most accurate kicker in NFL history at the time. But that's awesome. I love that. That is cool as heck. Oh, trust me, Browns fans. Hey. Mayflower, when you got to get out of town fast and at night. Remember, they got to do it at night so they don't see you coming. So, yeah. Didn't we lose our first game at home to the Jets? I remember Mark Gastineau all over Mike. Probably. I don't remember that far back. You know, remember also, back in 83, 84, I was like 8, So, I don't remember those games great, but Alonzo, happy Aries Day. Have a drink for... Thank you so much for the birthday wishes. Appreciate you. Yes, I am an Aries. My birthstone is the diamond. My Chinese symbol is a dragon. I'm a Mars. I'm also fire. So everything kind of intermingles with that kind of stuff. So you're only 12 when you wish. Said you saw the Colts. Oh, that sucks. Well, you know what? You could always rewatch the game. So then you would have watched them, Matthew says, it's funny no one talks about the eminent domain part of the story when discussing the Colts' midnight move, but the Ravens fans paint Irsay family out to be the villains. Yeah, I know. It happens. No. Okay. So I'll state this again. I state this on a lot of streams. I'll state it again. This is not technically my room. This is a green screen. The reason being why I have this is 5-6 years ago, I had my house burned down. My family was inside. They made it out. My wife was hospitalized with smoke inhalation. severe for a couple months. Lost everything, no insurance, all of my stuff was gone. And then when I first started doing these videos and live streams, I had a guy who followed me on my audio podcasts and actually started when I was writing articles, about the Colts, and then followed my audio podcast, blah, blah, all the way through till now. And he says, hey, I got a great Colts man cave. Let me get some HD pictures of it. I'll send it to you. You could use it as your background. So that's that. Sarah, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Got a messages. All right. I see you. Nope, can't do that. Give me a moment. Let me get the invite link here. A specific certain somebody just hit me up. And there it is. So now you know why it is that way. Thank you so much for the birthday wish, Sarah. I really appreciate that. If there was one, that's a good question by that one guy. If there was one Colts past or present to interview, who would it be? Now, obviously, a lot of people would say Peyton Manning, which I would understand. But to be honest, I would interview Jim Irsay's father before he passed. Okay. I think that would be a great interview. Just on out here really hammering it out for me. I appreciate that. Hill says he's been watching me since I had 200 followers. Giles says, damn, I got to make Twitter. And guess what? I have a guest here with me, just popped in. Welcome to Just Plain Folks. Thank you so much for joining.
Owen, Mr. Owen, what's so I can't believe you're that old. First of all, when I used to watch you when you first started, I thought, oh, this guy's in his 20s. I was shocked when you said what your age was.
Yeah.
You present yourself just like another young dude. And I'm like, you're like in my age group. And I'm like, there's no way.
Well, that's okay. That's okay. I hang around with a lot of younger generation. I've got friends that are late 20s, right? So most of the friends that I had growing up in school and high school and college and stuff like that, they've moved away, went far away, out of state, out of country. And I mean, we still keep in contact, but it's like once a year or something, right? And it sucks, but at the same time, life is about creating new relationships and expanding. So I enjoy hanging out with just about anybody, because as long as they're good people.
Right. So, where do you really see where are you going to take your channel? Now you do great, film studies, you're doing podcasts. I know that's a thing that you're going to be doing on a bigger scale. I think I heard you mention, like, where do you see your trajectory? Since this is about your birthday, we need to talk about you and what you're doing, and rather than just talk about the Colts. So I'm curious, where do you see things going?
All right. So long-term plan. Okay. So I have a guy I'm looking, just got done contacting someone to be a co-host. I can't throw out names yet because they haven't accepted, but they're considering it. Because my channel's starting to get a little big, as we have discussed, and I'm trying to expand myself, as you know. I'm more deeply into the NFL. I'm also, as you know, getting into basketball with the basketball league. I will probably do a general sports channel such as this. I might start a new general sports channel outside of the Lawrence Owen podcast. I mean, it is called Lawrence Owen, so I could just have different links to the sports that I'm running. Like I already have the TBL one that I've got, so I'll just do it that way. I'm going to expand outside of YouTube as well. I have a Twitch profile. I haven't really used it in over a year. Probably get on Pandora and a bunch of other places. I feel like I need to expand to these different platforms. Facebook. Obviously, I've got a Twitter account. And I don't really use it for doing live streams, but I should. So yeah, my plan is to expand to all the platforms. Get a larger fan base. I love my Colts fans. But I am noticing that with my film rooms and me getting on other people's channels here on YouTube, that I'm gaining followers from different fan bases in different sports. And that's just, it seems logical to kind of move in that general sports arena. And that's what I plan on doing. My goal is to have 10,000 subscribers by the end of 2021 on YouTube. So
yeah, I think people who do broadcasting like yourself, especially when you're doing like one sport specifically, you can't see the other channels as your competition because they're not. If you're short-sighted, if you go, oh, I want to compete with that guy who's doing YouTube, that guy who's doing YouTube, what you got to do is understand that your competition is everything that's not sports. It's everything else. Every Xbox is your competition, and cable rentals and Spotify. That's your actual competition. The group of people that are doing sports broadcasting is actually very small. And the more you band together, the more everybody raises. When you lift one, raise the tide, lift all boats is the old saying. And I think that, mixing it up with all these other hosts is the smartest thing that people should be doing. You want to get more sports fans. You want to hit a critical mass so that you guys all are sharing a fan base, so that every effort that one of you guys do to reach out to a new area and bring in new fans, you're introducing them almost to the whole community of channels. And I think that's the future of doing all this stuff. I've talked to you about this offline, but and I see that you're kind of moving in that direction, which is great, and you're seeing great results. Look how long you worried about hitting 1,000, and now you've just blown past it.
Yeah. I've noticed that it's a little easier to get on other people's channels and on them to come on mine when they're around where your same subscribers are. If you get someone that's got a lot more, then obviously that's a huge boost for you. But as you grow, I plan on reaching out even harder to other guys with the same kind of subscription profile that I have of the same thing. Because as I talk to a lot of these guys, they, same thing that you're talking about, they intermingle, with each other, especially in the NFL world, right? The guys that are covering specific teams or the NFL in general. They intermingle with I don't know if you noticed That's Good Sports and
of course, yeah.
Tom Grossi.
Well, he's doing the same thing. Those guys are all working together. So the top 6 of those guys are working together, and they're going to pull away from the market really quickly. Mm-hmm. You think they're big now? I mean, they've all got like 250,000 to 500,000 to 1 million subscribers. They're going to be 10 million in a blink, especially when the season comes up. And they finally figured that out too. I've been telling you this for months. I'm like, this is what you need to be doing, man. This is where the future's going. And I work in the music industry. For people who see me post as Just Plain Folks, that's actually my day job. But I saw one of his early, in fact, you were on a different channel when I saw you. I discovered you on the Bring the Juice podcast. You were doing a film study, and I'm like, and I like those guys, but I'm like, wait a minute, this is different. Like this is a different level than what I'm used to seeing on the local channels. This guy, you had a real knack for taking a small number of plays, explaining complicated things like how defense coverage works. And, like when my wife doesn't like watching these videos, but even she was watching one day and she's like, okay, that actually makes sense. Like I get that on a level I didn't get before. And it's not easy to simplify things where you can expand a base of people just because you explain something. A lot of people are too afraid to ask. Well, I don't really understand, how is a nickel corner actually used? Like, I don't understand how that even works, And so what I really enjoyed is that you brought it to a level where it was interesting to somebody. I mean, I played college football. I played in Indiana. And I know a lot about football, but I still found it enjoyable. But my wife, who doesn't even care that much about football, other than she watches it with me, now she has a better understanding. And you were able to do that, and that's not easy to do. She can see the pros on the sports shows, doing stuff, and they don't get specific like you did. You made it simple. You were very specific about what you were showing and explaining what you were showing. Then you re-showed it, and I just thought it was such an effective display and talent that you had. Was sort of a natural. You either can do those kinds of things or you can't, and you were really good at it. So, and that's when I jumped on. I said, "Hey, man, what you're doing is really great." And this is when you were super small at that point. And I'm like, "No, man, you just keep going. You'll get better at the parts that you're not as good at, because everybody has to basically fake it till they make it. You got to suck for a while, and then you end up being beyond that." And so you've now got enough under your belt. Like, it's a whole different level what you're doing now than then. But you take with it a lot of skills. And I didn't even really know. I've been wanting to ask you, and I sort of saved it for this opportunity. How did so you were working for was it StreamYard before you got into this for a while, or is it Streamcat? Who was it you were working for before that you talked about?
Okay, so I was sportscaster.
That's what. Yes. So what were you doing like before that? Were you doing sports stuff before that? Was that your first sports related job?
I was doing an audio podcast before that, and they reached out to me and said, "Hey, you got a great audio podcast. You cover the Colts very well. Would you be interested in doing live video streamings for us?
Gotcha.
NFL in general, but a specificity on the Indianapolis Colts." And I was like, "Sure." And then I started doing that, and then I was like, "You know what? I'm kind of doing these film rooms. Do you want me to go into that as well?" And they said, "Yeah, we'll bump your pay. You could do it that way." And I had noticed, kind of similar to what you were talking about, how people use a lot of NFL jargon, especially the pros and stuff that you see. And a lot of people don't understand, what these words that they are spouting out mean. So I was like, if my wife watched this, who does not watch football at all, she would have absolutely zero idea and not be able to comprehend what's going on. So you got these even casual fans who don't understand the jargon. When I do my film rooms, I'll just kind of basically, lay it out in a very simple way that is easy to understand, basically layman's terms, right? That a everyday person would understand. And repeat it once in a while, because I've noticed that sometimes when you go past one thing, it just kind of goes in one ear and out the other at times. So I'll repeat what I say. I've had a few people yell at me about the repeat thing, saying you just say the same thing over and over and over. And I'm like, I get that, I understand, but I'm catering to a specific type of person, right? I'm not necessarily catering to NFL pros who break film down already and know how to do that. I'm doing this for people who don't know how to do that. And they were like, oh, okay, I understand. And then I'll throw the jargon in once in a while. I'll be like, okay, so this guy's running a post, which means he's going to go straight and then run right towards the middle of the field, like he's running at the goal post. That's why it's called a post route. Stuff
right.
like that. And that really helped out a lot. And then I started having other people, different channels, say, "Hey, I really like your stuff. Can you do that for my channel?" And that's how I ended up on Ray Rout's channel doing film rooms for him on Dear Pat's Nation, because we worked together on Sportscaster. He seen what I was doing. He was like, "I'd love to have you do film rooms for me too, because I don't know how to do that." And I was like, "Cool." And you take, like what you say, you take what you do well and you run with it, right?
Right.
And you fake what you don't know how to do well until you get better at it.
You just do it. The key is just to start doing it. Until you actually start doing it, you're not, people say, "What does it take to be a songwriter?" I want to be a songwriter. Well, write a song. It's that, it's something I've used a million times. That doesn't mean I haven't released a CD. No, if you want to be a songwriter, write a song. If you want to be a broadcaster, start broadcasting. If you want to break down film, start breaking down film. And the rest of you people will tell you what they think of you either way. And you can be really, really good. The guys that are making millions of dollars a year at ESPN get dogged all the time by everybody. So you can't take the criticism and go, oh, they didn't like what I said. They left a mean comment on my YouTube page. I'm never going to do it again. The best of the best get hammered. In fact, some guys have made a living out of it. I'm thinking of what's the guy on that's on Fox that left from ESPN and went to Fox. It's really not Skip. Everybody knows Skip. So Skip has made a career out of making people hate him and like just having nothing but haters. And that guy can talk about the same exact subject, the Dallas Cowboys, for 53 consecutive shows in the middle of football season and talk about the same thing and act like it's the first time he's ever said it and get you to hate him that much more. So, and he's made a whole living out of that, playing the villain basically and making you mad about everything. And he knows how to push every button from every fanboy out there. And so anybody who's getting a YouTube channel or anything you're doing in life, don't be afraid of criticism. At least they're noticing you. It's harder to get criticism than it is to get nothing. So getting nothing is the problem. If you can get some criticism, at least people are watching long enough to say, oh, this guy's a jerk. Yeah, I don't agree with him, whatever. Have an opinion. You don't have to apologize. You can be wrong. That's the other thing is people have such short attention spans. You can be wrong. You can make 1,000 predictions on your podcast and be wrong 1,000 times, and people are going to forget 95% of them. There's very few things they're going to remember that you ever said, but you got to be entertaining. You got to be out there. You got to say things that maybe sometimes make people angry just to needle them and see how they respond and have fun with that. And you're getting better and better at all this stuff. I mean, again, I think that the sky's the limit for you. The more you do, the better you do. And it's going to keep getting bigger. And it's nice to see people like Nomadic Brian, because I see him on some of the other sports. I see him on Dockage shows. Sometimes I see him all over the place. So it's nice to see like a group of people on some of the Pacer games. There's a guy named Born Ready Jones. I've done a bunch of streams with him. And, us, the fans, and I'm just a fan, the fans need to sort of gather around and support these guys that are broadcasting locally and also get on their shows. Like you having guests. Like having me on here is great. I mean, I've been wanting to come on and just chat with you for a while, but get real people up on your shows, because that's the things that Dan Dockage does. He gets regular people on his show constantly all day because it fills your content. It makes it interesting. And so I'd like to see you do even more than that. So there's a tip for you. I also have a film study idea for you that I think could do really well. So it's like my gift for your birthday is an idea for your film study, and that is do the route tree. So take Colts players, find them doing each of the routes in the route tree, explain and show them. So tell them this is the shape of the route tree, then show them running it and explaining why in certain circumstances that's a good one, what circumstances are good to run those routes. Because I've never really seen anybody do that. I always thought I thought about doing it myself, but that's not my thing. It's your thing. So I'd love to see a video that went through and showed examples of the route trees. And it's not just a matter of, look at work because I showed you a successful route, but why would I call that particular route against this particular route? And then, as you progress, you can do another one later about routes against certain defenses and do it all over again with a different variation. And I think if you start doing that, you're going to be putting yourself head and shoulders above the competition. But then again, you can work with these guys and bring them up. I actually found a video that you need to remind me to show you of a kid. I don't even know where he's from, somewhere in the country. It was a Colts video that he did as to like 15 reasons why Carson Wentz is going to be great for the Colts. This guy was really raw. He was doing it out of his bedroom. He's like a 15-year-old kid. He is a 15-year-old kid. And I think it was one of his first videos. And he made the video because he was having arguments with his friends. And he put together this whole production. And even though he had a lot of weaknesses, the arguments were the strongest collective set of arguments for why Carson Wentz is going to work out for us that I've seen anybody do. And there's so many guys like that out there. So if you start rounding them up and you say, hey, my channel's big compared to you right now, but come on, you did something really cool. I'm going to have you on as a guest and boost them. Now you've got this whole network of people out there. So I'm just giving you advice. I give these same tips to musicians about how to increase fan bases and it's basically working with other artists. That's all what it's about. People used to think, well, I got to compete with this artist because he's trying to sell gigs over here and I'm trying to do my gig here and it's a competition. No, it's not a competition. Nobody wants to go out and watch live music. If somebody else has figured it out, you need to be friends with them and share your tips. It's the same thing with you with the football broadcast. So, anyway, I've talked a lot. You can boot me off, or I can hang out and talk to other people. I don't know if there's somebody in line to get on or what's going on.
No, there's no one.
Or we can talk football either too.
Yeah, we could do a lot of stuff. Actually, the route tree thing is actually a very good idea. I might just drop like a video per route. A lot of routes have options. Like you could have a go route with an option of post, depending upon what the defensive scheme is against you at that point in time. I see that a lot, and I don't bring it up in the film rooms because it'll get confusing when you start dropping in options, like saying, well, you see this guy, he went like my TY film room that I just dropped earlier this week on why he would be really good with Carson Wentz. There was a post route that he ran, and it was amazing, but that was an option part of that post route. I didn't necessarily mention the fact that it was originally a go route with a post option because I didn't want to confuse people. Now, if I go back and I run that type of stream, just a little quick 5-minute, video, like what you're saying, do a 5-minute video on the go route post option, then and what is best, why you would run that specific thing, that could be a very good video. And I think you're right. A lot of people might actually be interested in watching stuff like that. If you're watching this live or a recording later on, feel free, let me know in the live chat what you think of some videos like that. If you think that'd be something that you would like to see me upload. And then obviously in the comment section, if you watch this after the stream is over. My sister-in-law's on here. She just popped in. Happy birthday for me and the guys in Gas City. She lives in Gas City, Indiana. I live in Marion, Indiana. I'm not giving addresses. Y'all can't find me. Haha. But yeah, so it's nice to see. Man, I love the fact that I'm getting a lot of people that shows up in here and a lot of talks in here. Oh, let's see, what does this say? Hold on. LOL, if you were a Browns fan, the Baker versus Coward thing, would you hate the guy? No, I wouldn't hate him. I wouldn't hate anybody. I personally, I use stuff when I played football and people talk trash about me, you use that as fuel. You don't hate the person because it's it's constructive criticism. It helps you fire you up sometimes and makes you a better player. Just like constructive criticism for me right now. Matter of fact, Plain Folks here was just talking about criticism and comments and stuff like that where, hey, I don't take anything personal. If you're just trolling, you're trolling, but you could tell the difference between criticism and trolling. And right. if you're throwing out criticism, then I'm going to take that to heart and maybe kind of change things up a little bit. If it works, it works. If it don't, then I go back to the way I went. Always try stuff out. So what else? Well,
the other thing is this is sports fandom, and everybody's wrong about everything. The experts are wrong. It's funny, Doc H, he did this really brilliant. He did his NCAA brackets, and he made a video. It's up. You guys can find it. It's up there. And he knew all the coaches. He told us all about their best players. I'm like, wow, his knowledge is so impressive. It was the worst bracket. He lost almost every 50-50 game that you could possibly have that wasn't really obvious. He lost almost all of them. Most of his favorite teams were out by the second round. It was hilarious, but he wasn't afraid to be wrong. He doesn't care. He probably forgot what he did 5 minutes after he did it. It's all sports. It's about making it entertaining. He offered some information about the teams that made it more interesting for me to watch some of these unknown teams that we watched. And he was wrong about everything. So never be afraid to be wrong. Be afraid not to have an interesting opinion. If you're just putting out there and you're afraid to say something because, it's controversial or it's going to be, as long as it's not controversial for the wrong kind of reason, everything's fair game. And it's more fun to to take wild guesses. And, somebody mentioned Colin Cowherd, and Colin Cowherd's a genius. First of all, if Colin Cowherd has a quote unquote beef with a player, it's most of the time it's because him and his agent worked it out to build it up for ratings for both people, because nothing makes a player more popular with their local fan base than somebody like Colin Cowherd attacking a player. So Baker Mayfield, his agent and Colin Cowherd probably worked that all out to get the beef going, because it just exploded the interest in both of them. And Colin Cowherd is a master at doing that. He's also a master at milking. Not only does he make crazy, outrageous predictions, but he's a genius because he then makes a whole segment. His most popular segment on his show is talking about when he was right and when he was wrong, and eating crow for when he was wrong. And that is a broadcasting genius, is what he is. He really is. And whatever your opinion is of him, I'm telling you, he's one of the best. He's one of the most respected. And it's not because he's always right, or even that he's always has the most interesting take, but he knows how to manipulate his audience to watch more, to be more engaged, to want to see him. He makes a prediction and he's completely wrong. They can't wait to get there on Monday to watch him eat crow about what he was wrong about. In fact, you ought to steal some version of that, Lawrence, because as the season progresses, and if you're wrong about something, milk it. Don't shy away from your mistakes. Make more fans off of it, because be honest. Oh yeah, I screwed that, man. I blew that. I mean, and again, I look at the people who are really successful. Dockich has got one of the most popular radio shows in the country. That guy is wrong about everything. He admits that he's wrong about everything. He has fun with it. He doesn't take himself seriously in the least. And I think that's what a lot of early artists, musicians are worried about. That you need to go on. What you always need to be is a 10-time version of yourself. Don't try to be something you're not. But all your characteristics that maybe annoy your wife, make those even bigger and be a bigger version, because you got to break through the wall of the camera. And I hope I'm not boring the crap out of sports fans, but I do this media stuff as part of what I've done for a living for 35 years. So, and advising artists, and it works for broadcasters. It works for anybody. These are things that if you want to have a great channel, and all their fans want you to have a great channel because they want to be entertained when they come here. So, and some of this is breaking the fourth wall. Like, these are secrets that people don't usually talk about on their podcast, but heck, you want to grow this community. We are so underserved in Indianapolis. Our media does not look. There are some people I like in the media. I know a couple of them actually really well, but in general, they leave a little bit to be wanting. I mean, I'll go to a Pacer press conference and people won't even ask a guy a question. Like, they can't even make up a question because they're so bored with the whole process that they don't think about anything. So people are starved for, and Dan Dockage is only on 3 hours of the day. And even if you like JMV, that's still, you listen to those while you're work or driving. When you get home, you want to pop on a YouTube video. Who do you turn to? And fortunately, there's some upstarts that are getting better. There's a couple guys that aren't in this area that I don't particularly like to cover the Colts, but a lot of the other guys are really cool. And I noticed that you've been being on a lot of their shows, and I hope that you guys all keep learning from each other. And I think there's one more thing. I'm going to give you another big suggestion right on air on live. We need to all get together once we're allowed to. We need to start having regular meetings of fans and getting together the people that do podcasts and the people that are regulars in all the audiences, and go to a bar somewhere in Indianapolis and just get together and have some soft drinks or a beer and shoot the crap. I know that Bowen does his beers with Bowen thing a couple times a year, but that's kind of stuffy, and that's kind of different because you got a big corporation that's sort of behind that effort. But just a more casual, get people knowing each other in your community. We're all just people that love the Colts. We all share a lot, and at some point in time, you can have a club that gets together at games and meets up at games during halftime or before the game to shoot the shit and talk about the game, or talk about the game afterwards, go out and get pizza. Just those kinds of things will put your channel on a whole different level than everybody else on YouTube. Because, That's Good Sports. I love him. He's a great comedian, but he's not going to do anything like that. And maybe if you get that big, you wouldn't either. But until you're that big, you've got that advantage. Take advantage of those things.
Yeah, I don't live but I don't know, an hour outside
Yeah,
of
Marion's not that
Indianapolis.
far. That's
Yeah.
nothing.
No, it's like, I mean, I got to make that trip 12 times in the next 3 months to cover some games for the Indy Express, you
Do
know, for
something
my
in
new job.
Fishers,
So,
meet everybody in the middle. You're not that far from Fishers. That's what you do.
or we could all the oh, not Newcastle, new something just north of Indy,
Fishers,
close to
Castleton,
Fishers.
Castleton.
No, hold on, let me look.
There's a lot of options. I'm
Oh
just
yeah,
saying that.
There's like Bub's Burgers and Carmel. That's a great place. I went there. They have amazing food, but
Right.
it's a specific atmosphere, and they're usually really really busy. But
Nomadic Brian wants us all to go to Vegas. If you're paying Brian, we're flying.
Right. I don't have the money to do that, but yeah, we want to go to the Vegas Strip and the Raiders game for the home game. Yeah, if you're paying, I'm all for it. I'll buy the ticket, but not the plane ticket and the because we was talking about that yesterday on my my regular podcast stream, where a game to go to Vegas, you would want to go with at least $1,000 in your pocket, right? Because it's Vegas, right?
Now, I want to go with $100 and come home with $1,000 in my pocket.
Well,
that's the way you do it right. You don't do Vegas right, man. You don't bring the 1,000 and leave it. You bring 1,000 back.
You figure you're going to probably spend $200-$300 at the game itself. So you're going to have,
at least, yeah,
$600-$700
outrageous,
and try to come home with a few thousand,
Well, you notice that the NFL, dropped the bomb that they're going to have full stadiums at games this year. And I thought that was a pretty bold statement, but they don't make statements usually without the gravitas behind it to do it. People were saying they weren't even going to have a season. They didn't miss a single game. Every other sports league missed games, rescheduled. They had to have a Wednesday and a Tuesday game, but they got it all done in the end. They had to have a game played with no quarterback in the game. That for Denver, I feel sorry for them, but yeah, that I thought that was really bold, and I think that they have every intention of full houses. They're not going to lose billions of dollars again. The NFL is about printing money. They're not about giving it back.
Well, most of their money that they make isn't actually from ticket sales. Most of it's merchandise and it's advertisement, as opposed to like baseball and basketball, where they get a lot of baseball. Most of their stuff is from
don't
ticket
fool
sales.
Yourself. Do the math on the number of seats times the amount of tickets.
Oh, I'm sure that,
and the concessions alone, you would look at and your mouth would drop open on what they're making on Diet Cokes that they're making sick money, and it's almost all profit. That stuff is just such pure profit.
Well, it's just like I expect them to have full seats, except for there's going to be some states like California that is going,
Michigan,
and New York and stuff. You're going to have certain states that are going to have a limit.
New Jersey, they're going to get away with a lot more in New Jersey technically than they're going to get. The Buffalo Bills might get screwed, but I don't think the Jersey teams are going to get screwed at all. But I think that's going to be really interesting to see, and I think that it's going to. What I'm looking most forward to is all of our local businesses being back in business before and after the game. They have gotten hit so hard, and all the vendors that work at the game and everything else, those people have been struggling. A lot of them have flown to the wind. They may never be back, and we've lost venues downtown, and every other town is just like it. It's multiplied by all the teams that have sat out all these games, and so I can't wait to get things back on our feet, and it'll be so much fun to be around other people and enjoy those games. Do you make it to when's the last game you went to in person? Or have you been to a game, I should ask?
Oh, I've been to 3. I don't have a lot of money or travel ability, or haven't until very recently. But I've been to 3. So the last one was in 2016, I think. It was against the Texans at home. So It's been a while. I want to go to a game this year. Not only just want to go to a game, I want to go to a game where there's, a bunch of people that I know from doing all of
Right.
this,
Of
that
course.
maybe we all could get together and hang
Of
out,
course.
maybe tailgate together, stuff like that. I think that would be absolutely a blast, right?
Right. I think, I think what would be fun, I'm thinking out loud, but get all the broadcasters together, get reserve a place before the game starts, do a live stream talking about the game that day with all you guys on stage at the same time, taking questions and interacting with everybody and bringing in your collective fan bases and filling up a venue. Wouldn't that be fun? You guys could easily do it if you organize. I'll help you organize it. I know how to do this. I put on thousands and thousands of shows, so I know how to do that stuff. But yeah, I just think there's so much potential for stuff like that, and would make it really fun to do. And so yeah, I don't know. What do you guys you fans are? Yes, I see people saying I'm in.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that's all about stuff like that.
Games are fun to go to. Mm-hmm. Those are the two. It looks like two women in here are totally enthusiastic about it. Let's see where else. Who else we got going? We're getting all kinds of feedback in here. How many people we got watching the stream, and how many likes do we have?
I got 24, 25, somewhere around in there watching live currently. I didn't expect a huge turnout.
No, it's Easter weekend.
Yeah, it's Easter weekend. But let me check. Hey, if you haven't hit like yet, please smash that like button. Like I said, I would love to hit 100. I'm sitting at 30 right now. So if we could get that up there to at least 50, I would really, really appreciate it.
You might be 47 before we if we have to wait here to see you get 100 today, because I don't think 100 people are walking through the door today. Maybe after the fact they will, though.
So Xavier Varela says, where did I get the baseball shirt? I special ordered it. It cost me $60. So yeah, it was special ordered on a specific site. When you're on Facebook and these little things come by, it's like random. Oh, we make your team's stuff for this kind, and that's what happened. I clicked on it. I was like, all right, I'll buy this. I wanted one. I thought it was really cool looking, and that's how I got it. It was just off one of those random Facebook pages, that they advertised on. So a lot of times you find a lot of really cool stuff just scrolling through your feed and seeing advertisements pop up. And believe it or not, I never thought that those actually worked, but it drew me in on one. So
and I wondered if anybody ever actually bought something from Facebook ad, because I don't even notice them. I just tune them out as I go through. So there you go. You're a living example. So it actually does work.
It does work. Not on everybody and not all the time, but it will work occasionally. I was thinking Noblesville, which is just outside of Fishers. That's the place I was thinking of. That's
all my old neck of the wood. I went to Hamilton Southeastern, so I know that whole area well.
See, I love one of my best childhood friends lived in Noblesville for a while, and had to travel back and forth to Epsom to work. And we used to eat at the Golden Corral out there. That's a really nice, really good Golden Corral. And, something like that. But the problem is there's no TVs to watch sports with, but we need to find a venue where we all could get together. I understand there's people out there that, like myself, I'm not really a big bar guy, but I know there's a lot of people that are, but we got to get to a place where, there's some people that aren't going to be 21, they'll be 16, 18, 20, that might want to come.
It can be a restaurant. You just do. I do a lot of underage events too. You just go to a restaurant place that has big enough place to have a little stage in the corner, and you set it all up, and everybody can live stream from their phone. So it'd be super simple to do. And I just think stuff like that. Look, that's one idea of a million. But if you start doing those kinds of things, you will overnight take over the marketplace, because the regular media is just not that interesting. It's the same questions, the same the players are always going to give you the same generic answers, because that's what they're taught to do. They're professionals. They're told very specifically, this is how you can answer every possible question they're going to get asked. And if they get asked something they're not ready for, just don't answer it. Mm-hmm. So here's your generic thing to say not to answer a question. So it's more fun to interact with other fans anyway. And and get people who disagree and have them on there debating this and that. I think that'll be fun too. And I think that that's something I would suggest that I'm not seeing a lot of, is that you guys all go on each other's shows, which is great, but you guys all have the same opinions. Like, you all just agree with it. Yeah. It's a lot about, yeah.
A lot of people do.
I've heard you correct some people that were just flat out wrong about something, but I've not heard, I'm holding my ground on this opinion. You're holding your ground on that opinion, because that makes for interesting debate as well. Go back to Skip Bayless. I mean, he's the master of that as well. And, and that's entertaining to watch two people who can not only have an opinion about something, but actually have at least a few facts to base their opinion on, and then let them go at it and have a spirited, fun, debate. And I'd like to see you add that aspect to your channel some.
Yeah, when I have an opinion on something, I'll state it. Now, if I disagree with somebody, I will.
People are afraid to disagree with you, though. As soon as I've seen you do it several times. You'll state it. You'll state something. Yeah, you actually corrected me on something. There was something, I didn't even remember what it was, but I had an opinion about something, and the person that you were talking to had the same opinion, and then you corrected him and me at the same time, and I'm like, well, okay, yeah, I didn't think about that. But there's not ever usually a two-way back. Like, nobody holds their ground. Like, one person realizes, oh, I didn't know what I was talking about. I'm keeping my mouth shut so I don't look stupid. And then, and it goes on from there. So I actually have been really impressed on things like that your knowledge is deeper than a lot of the guys that are talking. There's some guys that their strength is talking. Like, they can talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. Other people have all the facts, but they're not as good at talking. And, hopefully the question is, can you get to both? And I think that you're well on your way to being both of those things.
Yeah, here's the thing. I don't mind having a disagreement once in a while. I've had people on here where we disagree.
What's the point if you agree on everything?
Exactly.
It's boring.
Exactly. And it's great to be able to sit down and have a reasonable discussion about something, a well thought out reason on why you believe this, and the other person do the exact same thing, and not just be like, because you're wrong and stupid. I don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
But you bring out a well thought out argument for yourself, and I will take you seriously, and I will sit down and I will weigh it with what I'm thinking.
Lawrence, that's so 2010 of you. To actually want to have a civil argument about something and actually be allowed to disagree about any topic that you want to pick, because right now you can't disagree on any topic. It doesn't matter how inane, it doesn't matter. But so sports used to be the great unifier. It didn't matter what your other beliefs were. You could have the most whacked out beliefs about anything you want to pick out, whether aliens are actually running the planet or reptilians or whatever. You could have those opinions, and you could still discuss sports without anybody getting upset.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to get back to. We need to bring some of that back in. So a lot of you guys are very polite, nice guys, but don't be afraid that you don't have to be a fake like Skip, but because he's a master at being fake. You're not going to be that good. Everybody's going to know if you're being fake. But yeah, get some people on here who disagree and like want to mix it up a little bit. Have a debate where, look, I can argue either side of almost anything. You can give me a topic and you can tell me what you believe, and I can just argue the opposite just for the fun of arguing it. And then I get to learn, okay, how strong are my beliefs? Maybe I actually believed with you, but by arguing the other side, if you're good at arguing, you can go, oh, well, maybe I should rethink about, my position on that. So
there's a guy that I do disagree with quite a bit. His name is Michael Terrazas, and he's part of, what once was Colts Brawl, but they separated from there.
Called? Can I pause you just for a moment? Mm-hmm. I've seen that name popping up on multiple channels recently. What is that, like a network, or what is that?
Colts Brawl was part of a Brawl network. It was basically, all the NFL. The guys that were part of it left it this week because they had some fallout with people. It happens. It happens in business. That's how it works. Sometimes.
That is how it works, right?
And so they're rebranding themselves. So
gotcha. Okay, you don't have to go any further. I was just curious because I saw that and I was a little confused, and now it seems to be going. So
yep. Nikki Nossinger says, "Do either of us see as the year the Colts make the Super Bowl?" And I'm gonna straight tell you right now. Yesterday, when I did my podcast, I put out reasons why 2021 Colts season could be a disappointment, and I got a whole bunch of bad feedback in the comment section. People saying
you're probably right.
But I'm like, look, first off, we don't have the pass rushers currently. We still have the draft left to go. But we don't have the pass rushers to make this defensive scheme work properly.
See, and that's the key. That's what you have to explain, is that it's the scheme that makes pass rushing absolutely vital. And that if we weren't giving up almost a perfect passer numbers to, the Jaguars game 1, you can get away with that, because we got away with it all year by being able to rush and pressure the passer. But D-Buck did a good job of doing that to some extent. Houston was not as effective even this year. That's why I'm not sure that he comes back. But you're right, man. I don't see how this scheme, and Eberflus does not seem willing to adjust his scheme at all.
No,
that dude is all in 100%. I think if he had adjusted, I think he'd already be a head coach. The fact that he was so, I'm going to do this even if we lose the game, because that seems to be where he's at. I'm going to do it this way no matter what, because I believe in it. It's great to have beliefs, but man, it's like it's tough sometimes.
He doesn't even adjust the rate of pass blitzing when it's obvious it needs to be increased. At certain points. Another situation that I brought up was the fact that yes, we was 11-5 last season, but this year our schedule is much tougher than what it was last year.
Yeah, it's not even close. It's not even comparable. It's the hardest schedule I've ever seen a Colts team have. Now, it's on paper. 3 of those teams that we think are unbeatable will suck by the time we play them. They'll either have lost their quarterback or some horrendous thing, or the chemistry will be way off. But, that also means that usually a couple of those teams that we think are the easier games will lose. We'll lose one of them. Because we always every team in the NFL loses a game they shouldn't every season. Even Kansas City lost to the Raiders, which they shouldn't have done. Everybody loses to somebody every season they shouldn't. So we can't always assume, we might pick off a couple of games we're not expecting, but you've got to be really optimistic to even find 9 wins on that schedule.
See, as it sits, I said I seen the Colts as a 9-7 team next year, or 9-8. Yeah. I said 9-8 team this coming season. Now, granted, if by some miracle with the draft or trades or something that Ballard is able to fill a couple holes that absolutely needs, then that might be adjusted. But as it sits currently with the roster, I see a 9-8 team.
There's one thing. It's not going to be the draft. The draft will keep us from losing more games. The draft is not going to win us any games. We've got to get a serviceable tackle in the draft that doesn't lose us games, like just keeps it even, like doesn't. With Quentin Nelson's help, hopefully can hold on to fort. But there's one wild card. There's one for optimists. If you want a reason to go, we can be the Super Bowl. There's one huge wild card, and it's really obvious. What if our quarterback plays like he played when he was an MVP candidate? And if he does, then this team is a Super Bowl caliber team. If he plays that good. Yeah. But that is the only scenario I see. If he's anything less, if he's just, let's say 80% of that, I think it's tough. You go game to game and add them up in your head and be honest. Man, it's hard to find 9 wins. It really is.
There's a couple guys in the draft. If the draft falls a specific way, even with not having the 3rd round pick this year, if the draft falls a specific way and specific people are there, which I don't expect to be there, like round 1, if a really good scheme fit, defensive end pass rusher falls. Guys, I know I'm not going to throw out a bunch of it because a lot of people like different people, whether it's Greg, whether it's Phillips, whether it's, Pay, doesn't matter. If a really good pass rusher that would fit perfectly with this Colts scheme falls to 21 and they get him, and then they get, like in the 2nd round, what you were talking about, a serviceable left tackle, I think we might look a little better than what we do now. But that's a big if, because I almost don't see any of those top 4 pass rushers falling to 21, because the problem with that is is everybody else in the NFL who needs a pass rusher is looking at that going, well, there's only 4 really good ones in this, and then the talent level drops dramatically. I see him going after those early and leaving the left tackle, the tackle position basically null and void, because they know they'll be able to get him later on in the draft because of how deep it is. So that's a scare. I almost think that the Colts would have to trade up to get a pass rusher, and these guys and
they're not doing that. There's zero. I just can't see any maybe one spot. Maybe they'll jump a spot because of a specific team. But other than that, they're not moving up. So I think that the most likely outcome is they trade down. They trade down to the top of the second round so they can still get their tackle and still get one of the last of the pass rushers. But it's going to depend on how the draft actually falls. Mm-hmm. So it's going to really be dependent. Now, here's a question I haven't really heard. Nobody wants to address this. And if you have, I just haven't seen it. But the 3 basic DEs that we have on our team, because we only really have we have the guy we just signed. So we have four DEs on the team right now that are potential players, people to play. Do you think any of those 3 young guys maybe they're expecting them to make a jump that we who haven't seen them in practice don't realize, and maybe that's why they're not because there's never going to be a panic that we're ever going to see by these guys, but they're so casual about free agency. And I know they're penny pitchers, but man, it was so hard to watch. I didn't care about the tackles. I didn't care about the receivers really as much, but man, it was hard to watch all those pass rushers that were there. And I know that, I've heard through grapevines, one pretty reliable grapevine, that we were definitely in on one of the biggest name pass rushers, pretty far in, but we just couldn't. They have an absolute limit, which is smart. They don't let emotions guide the day. And when they don't get what they want, some people that let emotions take over are going to go all the way and go, okay, here's the money. I'll just throw more money in. They can't afford to, and I know you've talked about this. People don't realize we've got to sign 3 huge contracts next year. We have to. We can wait a year on Quentin, but I don't think they necessarily are going to push that to the end of the end. But those 3 players, Leonard and Smith and Quentin Nelson, those are big contracts. And even though the salary cap is going up, you heard Ballard say that we're just now opening the window to everything. And if that's the case, they may already have assessed we need to evaluate what we really have with Wentz. And if Wentz is 80%, in other words, he's good. He's a very serviceable, no worse than middle of the pack quarterback. Then they can say, okay, now we're going to shoot for the moon with this increase in the salary cap. And I think that's what they're holding their powder for. Because if it turns out that that Wentz really has just mentally lost it and he's just not ever going to be the same, we can get out of that contract. I'm not so much worried about they took the risk, because really it's not the risk that everybody seems to think it was. First of all, we had no other options. Please tell me what other option we had that was better than Wentz, even on a flyer. We didn't. But so, he's going to be serviceable. And if we're already looking at a schedule and a lack of defensive rush that might have us being 9, even if we win 10 games and we're 10-7, we wouldn't have made the playoffs this year. So on that schedule, find me 11 games we're going to win. I don't see it. I don't see 11 games on that schedule that we win.
All right, I don't want to. I hate interrupting you for just a second, but I do have a new guy just came in. My boy Colts Talk just joined the stream as well.
Hey, Colts Talk! I watch your stuff all the time.
I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. How y'all doing today?
Great.
We're doing well. This here is Just Plain Folks. I'm sure you know who that. And then, of course, Colts Talk. So thanks for my coming to my birthday stream. Just about everybody else said they couldn't make it. There's one guy that said that he could. A lot of people pulled out at the last second. If you saw the private chat we had, because it's Easter and I expected that, You brought up a question to me earlier. And I think myself and Colts Talk here will answer that. Do I think that the Colts expect one of the young guys, the defensive end, to be able to step up and produce? Right? That was kind of a question.
Maybe more than one. There's 3, maybe 2 of the 3.
So there's an expectation. Kamoko Toure has shown ability to be a high-end pass rusher, but then he's been hurt, and then when he got back, didn't show the same that he was before he got injured with that busted ankle of his through 5 weeks of the 2019 season, right? When he was harassing Patrick Mahomes in the Kansas City game when he busted his ankle at the end of that game. I think they think that Ben Banogu is kind of a Justin Houston type defensive end, but not quite as fast, but good against the run and can get some pass rush. They see him more of as a hold the edge against the run and then pass rush as you go. They're hoping that he could be good. A lot of us hope that he could be good, but I think Kamoko Toure is our best bet right now at, with a young pass rusher that has a high end, that has a ceiling, that we just need to see him hit it and stay healthy. What are your thoughts, Colts Talk?
Well, trust goes a long way in this organization, and if they trust the guy that they have, that they drafted and they have all the faith in, I'm definitely with that. I think he has the potential to be a good pass rusher as well. It's just a part of him staying on the field is the biggest issue. If he can stay on the field and he can bring that pressure that he's used to bringing, I'm totally going with Toure, and it saves you money as well on the long road as well. So you can go get another position that might be a higher need. So going with young guys to pass rush next to Buckner and those guys, I think Toure could be that guy. It's just a matter of time and durability wise, is he going to be able to stay on the field? So I'm definitely with it.
Yeah. Also, Al-Qadim Muhammad, which was just re-signed recently, he's shown at times where he could if he finds a guy on the offensive line that he's playing against, if he finds a weakness with that guy, he exploits the heck out of it, and he could legitimately wreck a game from time to time. Now, it doesn't always happen. It's not a guy that you expect to be able to be consistent from game to game, but he is someone, in my opinion, that you throw in for 3 or 4 snaps at the beginning of the game, see how he's working against the guy opposite him. If he's doing well, you keep him in. If not, you flip in somebody else and you see if they can, just kind of use your rotation, see because football's a game of matchups, right? One specific player might not be as well against another player, whereas, the different player might do even more so, but in fact, vice versa against other people, you get a different outcome. So in this situation, we have Al-Qadim Muhammad, Ben Banogu, Kamoko Toure. They're all 3 very different pass rushers. Obviously, we have another guy that can play defensive end as well, the ex-Ohio State defensive tackle who's good, but I expect him to be more of somebody who will be standing beside
rotational piece.
Yeah, I think he's more of a rotational third down pass rush kind of guy. But yeah, I like Al-Qadim Muhammad, and for what was it, like just a little over $3 million for a 1 year?
He was a mandatory needed to sign. I thought he was my number one guy for them to re-sign because I thought he was serviceable. I thought, okay, he's like the worst case bottom. Like you're never going to go lower than that point. And I think that he filled that. So we're never going to be worse than what he's able to do. And I was hoping that we can get better than that, but I'm comfortable with him at the bottom of the pile. So who's going to step through? I hope Banogu. I've seen nothing from Banogu. I mean, yeah, he's had a handful of plays and all this time. He almost never gets in the game. He doesn't, the guy's been invisible. I think he's the most invisible draft pick that Ballard's had.
I've got a couple. I believe I have a film room on Banogu and Toure, but it was back when I first started doing these film rooms, so the presentation's not great.
The footage, redo the presentation.
Yeah, just have to redo because the information is there. It's just the presentation wasn't all that great. You know what I mean? So I should probably go ahead and redo that. Because I definitely will after the draft. After the draft, I'm going to go over basically the Colts pass rush situation. And that's what the film room will be about. It won't just be about one player. I'm going to focus in on who's good at what and where and at what situations, I think is what my film room will be on for that one. Hey, we got ourselves a super chat in here. The guy M-Dub, happy birthday. Thank you for the birthday wish and the super chat. I appreciate that so much. I've had a few super chats and super stickers in here today.
Yeah, you're into pizza money, I think, at this point.
At that point, yeah, I think so, man. So, really, Colts talk. How you been doing this week with what's been going on? You got plans for Easter? What's up, man?
Yeah, man. This week has been, good busy. It's been up and down. We got a lot going on. I'm planning to change my name soon, just due to branding things. So, like, if I ever get branded or anything, I don't want anything affiliated with Colts to come down my neck. So I want to change the logo and the name itself and try not to get anything Colts in it. I got some good names coming down, so we'll see how it goes in the day when I start the poll. So that's pretty much what I've been working on.
Go check out Colts Talk on YouTube. He definitely go subscribe to him if you're not subscribed to him, because he's got really good information as well. I've been on his show. He's been on mine. We work well together. We have a disagreements on a few things as well once in a while. Not often though, I've noticed. I mean, generally we're pretty on point with each other's opinions. I have seen your tweets on the name thing. I didn't want to throw in anything in the hat because I think I retweeted it. If I didn't, I will. I've been busy this week because I've had a lot of stuff going on between getting my truck fixed and my new gig with being the broadcast coordinator for the Indy Express and commentator. And then, of course, my birthday and my son's birthday and then Easter. And it's just been a really, really busy week. So I really do appreciate the fact that you took time out of your busy weekend and holiday weekend to come in and join and hang out. There was a question on here about Clowney. Did Clowney sign somewhere, or is he still a free agent?
Still a free agent, so what I know.
So what do you think about Jadeveon Clowney? Would you be interested with bringing him in if it was a reasonable contract, like a 1-year prove-it deal?
Yeah, for a reasonable contract, I'm willing to take anyone. My honest opinion on who we could get out of free agency was Ryan Kerrigan. But the fact that Clowney's out there and still available, if he does take a decent pay cut and he signs to a decent deal, 1 year to be exact, I'm all in on it. You get a guy like Clowney who had flashes, but not seen the full potential of what he can do in a good system with a good supporting cast like DeForest Buckner. I think that's a scary sight. Just think of the presence of the opposing quarterback seeing a guy like Clowney coming off the edge, or you see a DeForest Buckner who's going to get through the middle in the span of 2 seconds. I think that's going to be a good duo if it actually worked out, if we would to get him. It's just the fact is, can he stay on the field, and is he disciplined enough to come off that edge with the new scheme with DeForest Buckner? I'm not sure. It's mixed feelings, but if it's a decent deal, I'm all with it.
Well, I know that Clowney is when it comes to playing the run, he's pretty good. But when it comes to going up against guys like he used to play with, Deshaun Watson, those scrambling quarterbacks, as you was talking about, being disciplined and corralling quarterbacks like that and not allowing them a route to escape out the pocket, that I think is his biggest weakness and why his sack numbers aren't as high as what they should be. What are your thoughts, Just Plain folks? What do you think about
I am
Clowney?
not a fan of Clowney. That guy made more money off of blowing up one mediocre offensive lineman in college than anybody in the history of the world. He is so underproduced everywhere that he's been. Everybody thinks they're going to get something. I mean, Tennessee thought they were going to get something. They all think they're going to get something, and then they don't get it, or he gets hurt, or both. And that guy, he loafs on plays. He loafed in college. I mean, that was the knock on him when he was coming out. But they still drafted him, anyway. And no, I am not. I'd be Kerrigan's record and everything that I've heard about Kerrigan. Now he's older, and he may not have anything left in the tank. So I'm not saying that we should sign Kerrigan. But if you're telling me to choose between those two guys, I'm choosing Kerrigan. It's not even a question. I would choose to sign our guy. He's just sitting out there in the wind. I'd rather have him at 50% of his old self than to deal with Clowney's nonsense. So no, I'm not a fan of Clowney at all.
Yeah, I'm okay with Kerrigan on a 1-year deal, especially. I want a veteran presence at the defensive end position, anyhow, in the pass rush position. I need someone there that the young guys can look up to, maybe learn from, kind of emulate a little bit, right? A Kerrigan or Justin Houston or someone like that. I am huge on that. You just tagged on the whole loping situation with Jadeveon Clowney. Again, you are correct. He does do that, and that's something he would not have here in Indy. We all know. We talk about some of the bad traits on Matt Eberflus. One of the great traits is he forces everybody to give 100%, even in practice.
And that's the knock against Banigou, isn't it? That's why he hasn't been playing, because he's a loafer. Yep. And we got one of those guys, and he doesn't play. And so we don't need another guy that we signed to a contract. Here's the thing. I've made this comments. I don't know if I made it on your channel, but I've made it on some other channels. If you guys play fantasy football and you do the bidding thing, it's kind of fun to do, and you bid. And if I'm the guy that doesn't bid anything on the first, 13, 14, 15 players, because everybody uses up all their money, that's the way I see the way Ballard is playing this, is that right now you've got the Kerrigans, you've even got the Clownies, but you've got the guys that are left, like he signed some offensive linemen that have starting ability that are going to be our backups. That is such a luxury. And he paid pennies for them. He's paying pennies for people. So it's just like that fantasy football bidding, when you go in there and you've got all this money left over because you were disciplined, and then you can buy every single 2/3 of the way up the food chain guys for nothing, and you just have whichever ones you want and as many of them as you want, because everybody else is out of money and they can't outbid you. And that's what I see that he's doing. So I think he's still going to sign some more defensive end talent. I think he's going to see what happens in the draft. I'm sure he's already talked to a bunch of these guys. He knows how cheap he can get them. He's going to sign some 1-year players to no risk deals, so we get all that cap back for next year. And he's going to have his choice of a lot of veteran guys that aren't maybe going to get you 10 sacks, but are going to cost you nothing. And he's going to sign a bunch of them, and he's going to get productivity in places, the guys that still have gas. Imagine Kerrigan playing 15 key plays a game. He doesn't have to go in there and play the whole game. And I can see them signing some guys like that. That's what I'm hoping for anyway.
Colts Talk, what's your thoughts?
Oh, I agree 100%. We all hope for something to happen. Veteran presence off the pass rush is definitely, you guys hit on that, is definitely what I want. So, I mean, we're going to see what happens. I mean, there's still time left. There's still a bunch of talent available as well. But, I mean, it is what it is. At the end of the day, if we don't go for anybody that's not our own, like Justin Houston, pretty sure it's probably going to be Ryan Kerrigan. I hope so. Or maybe you get somebody out the draft. But we're definitely going to be looking for veteran experience off the edge. That's what I want.
Yeah, Just Plain Folks made a mention of he's going out Ballard right now, and he's getting serviceable talent for pennies on the dollar, right? That's what he does very well, and I understand that, and I get that. But at the same time, you need young studs at specific positions on a team, and I understand you don't want to overpay for someone that you're not sure is going to be big on your team. As in my opinion, he took a chance with DeForest Buckner, not only on the trade, but the fact that, the extension. Now, I know I love DeForest Buckner. I thought DeForest Buckner was one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL when he was with the Niners.
Right.
But you take a chance when you move them from one team to another, because the players are different that you play around, the scheme. There's a whole bunch of different factors. That's why there's a lot of players in the NFL that are huge studs on one specific team. And then when they leave that team and go to a different team, they completely and utterly fall apart, and don't play nearly as good. There was a massive defensive tackle, I can't remember his name, played for the Titans, I believe it was, went to the Washington and just fell off a cliff. And he was the highest paid defensive tackle in the NFL at that point. When he went to Washington, he just fell off a cliff.
Washington's culture sucks.
Albert Hainsworth?
Yeah, Albert Hainsworth.
Culture sucks. So if you have a terrible culture, then the guy goes, I'll take the paycheck, because this team isn't serious about winning. This team isn't serious about anything.
And then another another team like the Patriots. You see it with the Patriots all the time. They excel in New England and then they leave. And more than half the time they sign these huge contracts because they were playing so well in New England, go to a different team and they just bottom out, right? They're not anywhere as good as what they were as when they were with New England. So
I'll give you an analogy. So what New England does better than anybody is they cast their players. So think about it. Think of a situation. Think of a broad comedy, Adam Sandler kind of movie. If you cast the right comedians in that movie, it's fantastic. Now take those same people and put them in a hardcore period drama. It doesn't work. And what New England is perfect about taking people that have one specific thing and letting them do just that one specific thing. They're geniuses at compartmentalizing that one little task that they need this guy. Okay, this is your feature. We're not going to run. We're going to look like we run 50 different things, but this is who you are, and this is what you do. And they are geniuses at finding guys that just distribute these unique characteristics that wouldn't make them good as a general player. And I am so shocked when I see these other teams continuing to make the same mistake, continuing to take these guys who are productive in New England and expect anything out of them. I mean, I don't even think Garoppolo has been that great. I mean, I know that they liked it. He played a couple games and he looked good. Well, so did Jacoby Brissett. He looked good when he played for them. They know exactly what people can do. They will run the plays and the defenses for those players to take advantage of that chemistry. And there's so few teams that have figured that part out. To me, it seems kind of obvious, and it's just like casting a movie. You have a certain kind of actor, they need to play a certain kind of role. You put that actor in another different kind of movie, and they're going to suck. It's teams are like little movies. They're all little dramas and comedies, and you stick in people in and out. And so, the Patriots are the best at that. And I think that to some extent, Ballard is building our own little version of that. Now we're not like the Patriots, but there's some commonalities there. And I think what we all sort of, because we're fans and we're excited, but we're fanatics, right? We look at their moves and we're like, why didn't they do this? And look, we could have gotten that. And we could have got, I think they're just, they know what they have. They know exactly how they're going to compensate for every weakness. And the thing is that, somebody did an exercise. This wasn't my idea, but it was a genius. Like, it was a question that somebody asked, Bowen on the radio on his podcast, and they gave him two choices. There was like 5 players on one side and 5 players on the other side. They split up the Colts' best players into 2 groups, and like, which of those 2 groups would you pick? And one had like Buckner in it, a bunch of obvious people, and at first he thought, well, of course I'm going to take that one. And then he thought about it. He's like, oh my God, this other one is so good too. And then I realized we've got 10 players that are 10 of the best players at their positions. I think we underestimate sometimes. There is no team that is strong on every player. Think about Kansas City next year. They have incredible players, but they've got no tackles. Like they don't have, they don't have, certain positions are weak as hell. And I don't think we're weak as hell anywhere but DE. And I think that they already know what they have. And I think they're already 10 steps ahead of where a fan's going to be. And they already know that we're not worried. We've got all these studs all over the defense. Look at our defense. It's crazy good. And then we just re-signed Rhodes, which sort of put a patch over that. And I think they always knew they were going to be able to sign him. They had negotiations going. They knew what they had to do to get him signed. They weren't going to let him walk. And they also knew how soft the market was going to be. So they waited. They paid their price for it. They got him to take a 1-year deal. They got T.Y. to take a 1-year deal because T.Y. really wanted the 2-year deal. That was really the big difference. He keeps saying I turned down money. No, he turned down a 2-year deal worth less money per year than what we paid him for 1 year. Genius on their part. But I think that if you look at our studs on the offense and our studs on the defense, we don't lose out to anybody on that. And I think playing our scheme, even though I don't like our defense, it frustrates the hell out of me. I can't stand seeing people complete, almost every single pass all game. It drives me insane. It literally drives me insane. But nevertheless, they stick to it because they know that they can't play anything else because they don't have the guys to play anything else. They got to play that. So they got to be all in on that. And so I think that we do get a little worked up, and I think that they're much more comfortable at DE, or what their plan is to deal with the lack of pass rush as we see it. I think they're already completely comfortable with their options and their strategies. For me, I think they're gonna. This is my prediction for the draft. They're going to see how it plays out, see if their ideal guy at a position of need falls to them, and if it doesn't, they're going to trade back. And they're going to get more picks because they already know who they're going to pick in the second round at position of needs. They're already comfortable. We know if we have to pull back, we're going to pick these guys. We're going to get the guys we need. We've already mentally worked through it all. We know who these guys are better than anybody else realizes we know who they are. And so I think they're going to wait. I don't expect, I'd be really shocked if they traded early like they did, previously. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to wait and see who drops. And if it's the right offensive tackle that is like a whole different level above the rest of the good offensive tackles, they'll grab a tackle. Or if one of those pass rushers that, is in those top 3 or 4 guys that they're like, hey, if this guy drops, that's where we're going. That's what's going to happen in my view. What do you guys think?
Oh, I agree with you 100%. Definitely, I could see us. I already been mentioning before the draft even started that we're probably going to be trading our first pick anyway. Just being as though how it looks, usually we mostly get talent late in the draft anyway. So I definitely agree with you 100%. I think the tackle is going to be the first position, then pass rush, and then so forth and so forth. Probably a wide receiver late in the draft, but I definitely agree with that. I never see us really go for a first round pick unless the talent is there. Pretty sure he probably won't be, but this draft is deep. This draft is deep for sure. So I already know second round ballot picks is going to be phenomenal. We're gonna go with it at the end of the day. But just back to you guys' argument about the scheme changes and everything. You both make good points for sure. And I have a comparison for both of your theories. So for Lawrence's analysis, I would say a guy like Josh Norman. He was successful in Carolina. He went to Washington and he played terrible due to the scheme change and everything.
Right.
It definitely plays a role.
That's true. Yeah.
And for your analogy, I would say a guy like Kyle Van Noy, who played for the Patriots, went to Miami and was successful as well. And now look, New England wound up signing him back anyway. So it depends on how good the player is. If a player can play multiple schemes and analogy, it's going to work out for the best. But if you're only good at one thing, that's just how it's going to be at the end of the day. So I definitely agree with both of your points. And for the draft purposes.
The Norman one, exactly. That they took that guy out of a really successful scheme and tried to make him something he was absolutely not. Something he was terrible. He actually would have been good in our scheme, I think, but he was not good in their scheme. He was not a number 1 cornerback, and he's not a man player. I mean, it was unbelievable what they did to him, and then they couldn't understand why he failed.
Yeah, what I think that they'll do, I think you're kind of on this. I've been kind of on this whole system as well when it comes to the draft and what they might do. I feel
our pick is number 21, Mick the Dog. That's a question that was popping up. Number 21.
Yeah, I think I answered it in the chat.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well.
I'm sorry. I didn't see it.
Yeah.
All right. So, way I figure it, unless a top 15 player drops to 21, which in this draft it legitimately could, I could see Ballard grabbing him, whether he's a position of need or not, because Ballard is huge on you grab a playmaker no matter what, no matter how deep you are. He said it multiple times. Whether or not you agree with it, whether I agree with it, disagree with it, it's what Ballard says he does. If there is someone there at a position that you don't necessarily need, but you got a massive talent that is going to be huge in the NFL, you take them. Now, whether or not you do that at like quarterback, that might be a different story. If you've already sitting there with a top 3 quarterback on your team and someone great drops, you don't spend your first round pick on him. At least I hope he wouldn't do that. But if a top 15 corner, wide receiver, defensive end, left tackle, I could even imagine him going and even a linebacker, because that's just the kind of person that he is, If it is a blue chip player that drops to him, I think there's a good chance he'll grab him. Now, obviously, if it's at a position of need, that rises it even more so, right? But if something like that does not happen, I can legitimately see him trading back to gain some of those picks back, because we all know Ballard is very, very good from rounds 2 to 5. Right?
He wants 7 or 8 guys. He doesn't want 6 guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And we see that the majority of what he grabs for is that, between 2 and 5. And a lot of these players are successful with the Colts. So, and to your point, he'll use those even as what you were talking about, your role players, right? Guys that are specifically good at one specific thing. And even though it's not an every down type of player that he's grabbing, he knows that when we are in this specific situation, that player is going to excel, and we could use him in that way. So, yes, if there is not a big time blue chip player that falls to the Colts at 21, which, like I said, the way the quarterbacks are looking right now, the way the defensive ends will probably come off the board quick, in my opinion, because of the situation with their just, it's limited on how good that position is. Someone is going to fall, right? That you might end up getting one of the best wide receivers fall. You might get an amazing situation at cornerback, that falls to 21. Cornerback might be that position that does fall, because everybody's looking for offense. This, in today's NFL, everybody wants the great wide receivers, and Pitts ain't going to make it out of the top 15. There's no way on God's green earth that's going to happen. But there's a lot of offensive dynamic playmakers will be picked early. I mean, we've seen that last year, where like 3 wide receivers in a row were picked from 14, 15, 16, something like that. And cornerbacks, I think, will be that position that falls in this draft. And if that happens, you could legitimately see that happen. And
they don't value cornerback, though. I don't think he's going to take a cornerback with the first pick. I don't care who falls.
That's another issue, though. He hasn't used a first-round pick on a wide receiver or cornerback yet, right? I mean, he's used second-round picks on these guys, but he's never used a first-round pick. Same with pass rusher. Hasn't used a first-round pick on a pass rusher.
And he hasn't picked good cornerbacks in second either. I mean, he's not a great evaluator of corner. Our whole team obviously isn't a great evaluation of that.
I've pushed that a little bit, where our scouts and Ballard, they're obviously good at evaluating, I believe, safety, linebacker, offensive line,
running back.
Wide receivers and running backs. I actually think they're really good at wide receivers too. They can't stay healthy sometimes, but I think they do a very good job at just the skills that they bring to the table is pretty good. But yeah, running back. But they have issues at other places, like pass rush, like cornerback, like well, I haven't really seen. I don't even think they've drafted a tight end.
No, we haven't. So I think that we have to look at it as we're drafting 14th, 15th, because I think there could be 7 quarterbacks to go before our pick, which means that's great for us. The more quarterbacks they pick, the better. Please pick all the quarterbacks. So I think 7 is not unrealistic. So man, that moves us way up on the skill player, especially in the tackles. There's 10 tackles that are pro ready. Obviously the ones at the top are going to be out of our reach, but man, there's guys there at 3, 4, 5-ish on that list that get me excited as far as tackles go. I was an offensive lineman and defensive lineman in high school and in college both. So I appreciate good linemen, and he's done well picking linemen early, obviously. So I'm looking forward to one of those really good tackles slipping down and going, wow, look who fell in our lap. So did either of you guys do like a top 10 at positions series of videos? Do you guys have those numbers? I can't believe neither of you have done those. That's such easy pickings. Come on, you're YouTubers. Come on. It's like this is easy season right now. Topics are just coming out of the woodwork.
I've given my opinions on certain players, but I haven't given like my top 10 pass rushers.
Lists.
I know, and you're right. I should be
money.
doing
Come
it,
on,
but I
guys.
haven't. Swaggy. Was it Swaggy that said this? Yes. Why are you worried about the schedule being tough? Because Colts have an elite defense. They're elite if they have a pass rush. That's what we're worried about. If they have a good pass rush, this defense is a top 5 defense. We've seen it last year. When the pass rush is on, they lock down. The defense is so hard to do anything against. But if they can't get pressure on quarterbacks, then quarterbacks are able to pick apart a zone defense. That's what we're worried about.
We have a great healthy defense.
Yes.
Again, we have a healthy defense, but we don't have a great amount of depth. We don't have great depth at linebacker anymore. We don't have great depth at a lot of positions. So we have a great team. Look, on paper, our receivers are set on paper. Our defense is set on paper, except for defensive end. That's this part. But otherwise, we're set. Like if we don't have an injury, man, we're rocking and rolling. But that never happens. We're going to get guys hurt. And it'll be somebody we don't expect because that's how it always happens. So, we're loading up on offensive linemen, but what happens if we get a defensive end and that one gets hurt? And then now what are we doing? So, we've got a lot. And that's why I love that they've got money left and all these guys are laying out there and nobody's signing them. And the guys want to sign 1-year deals. That plays in our pockets so well. These guys want to only sign a 1-year deal because of the salary cap changes. So I think they're going to pick up, I bet you 3-4 more free agents that have starting experience sprinkled throughout the rest of the team before this is all said and done. Maybe just right after the draft or maybe just right before.
So do you guys believe that Justin Houston is a guy that the Colts will probably re-sign? Or do you think that they go with somebody different like Ryan Kerrigan or somebody?
I think Houston comes back 1 year for sure. I know it's been a holdout and everything, and there's still plenty of talent that's younger than him and everything. But I think with his presence and what he did in that locker room, all those speeches and everything he does to contribute to that D-line, I think he comes back for a year. I really do. I think it might be his last year too, to be honest. Yeah,
he's a big liability in the run game, though. He's got to be a situational rusher. He can't be a 4-down guy. I mean, he's not. He really hasn't been for a while, but he really can't play. He played too much last year, I thought.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with Justin Houston. It's just I like I said, I like Justin Houston on 3rd and long, like you were saying, or second and really long, 2nd and 10, 3rd and 6, stuff like that. I think that's a good situation. And then having like a Kamoko Toure or Al-Qadim Muhammad on the other end, I think will work out fine. I don't like that we lost our other defensive end to the Titans for as little as we paid for him.
That's the one thing this offseason that was painful to me because I really thought, well, he's a no-brainer. We got to bring him back. I wonder if they just outbid us. Do you think we even tried to bring him back? Have you guys heard anything?
No, I haven't, but I honestly believe, and I brought this up afterwards, I think that the Colts are trying to get younger on defense, especially on the line.
Well, then they're not going to sign Kerrigan or
Houston. Right.
Yeah. I honestly believe that, and I could see them maybe re-signing one, but both of our starting defensive ends was 30 or older. I can't see you having both defensive ends being 30 or older starting. I could see one maybe, but not both starters. I don't see it. I still want a veteran there, for the leadership, locker room, emulation situation. But yeah, if Houston or Kerrigan, either one of those guys, I'm perfectly fine with, as long as they're not getting $10 million a year. And I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think either of those guys are going to get $10 million contracts.
Brian Walton, to answer your question, is this a Super Bowl team only if Wentz plays out of his mind? I think that's my opinion.
Yep.
And it's possible. I think there is a possibility that he comes in and they get the band back together, so to speak, and they rock and roll. I think we could just shock people by how smooth it is.
The crazy thing is that you don't need much from Wentz. You really don't. You have a good running game.
Our run game can kick butt.
Exactly. All you need Wentz to do is manage the game. And, less turnovers is the better. So I think if he can manage the game, we'll be straight. That's all it comes down to.
And our rookie left tackle only needs to be able to run block.
Exactly.
That's what they do usually well out of college anyway. And so you get a left tackle. We draft a left tackle that can learn to pass block, but can run block. And you give him protection on the side, a tight end or a running back to help him out when he's exposed. Man, you get a good running left tackle into this lineup, and those 4 backs are going to make people miserable. And then you've got a mobile quarterback on top of it. I mean, we haven't had a mobile quarterback since Luck. Yeah. And even, in his last year that he played, they were telling him not to run, like don't run. So, man, I just can't even imagine a mobile quarterback behind this line with those 4 backs. Mm-hmm. I mean, we may not have to throw the ball. I mean, at all. We may be going like, we don't need receivers. We need blocking. And that's the thing that the secret weapon of our receivers is we got great blocking receivers. Pascal is a great blocking receiver. Pittman is a great blocking receiver. Those 2 big bodies out there and our tight ends. I mean, it gets me excited just thinking about it. We run double tight end, 2 wides. Those are the wides, and they're blocking there. I mean, seriously, they've got to be licking their chops. And sort of then you can do the creative play action passing off of that. And I love the 2 tight end game. I've loved it since going back, to the Luck era when Luck first got drafted, and he got those 2 tight ends. They didn't turn out like we hoped, but they weren't bad. They had their moments. But man, that 2 double tight end and really utilizing those guys in the Frank Wright offense. Well, that's a topic we haven't addressed. What do you guys think about picking up a tight end? Like Philly's tight end still out there? Is he too old? Is he been too injured? What are your thoughts on him?
Okay, before I answer this question, I just want to say we're almost 2 hours into this stream. Thank everybody. We got like 30 people watching live. Please smash that like button, hit subscribe if you're not subscribed. Don't forget to check out everybody here, right? We got let me lower this question down. Just Plain Folks. He's got a music site that he's got. We're going to have him kind of announce that at the end of the stream, where you can follow him and his stuff. Same with Colts Talk, because thank you guys both for showing up on my birthday. I really, really appreciate it.
Nice to see Colts Talk face to face. I've watched so many of your videos, man. It's cool to chat.
Hey, man, I appreciate you. I really do.
But okay, so also my sister-in-law bought a tote off of my merch, so that's awesome. Thank you so much.
Nice.
That just happened a little bit ago. But anyhow, when it comes to tight ends, I don't think we need a veteran tight end. We got 2 veteran tight ends. I think Jack Doyle, Moelle Cox, I think are still very good. They did not get a lot of passing reps last year because it was Phillip Rivers. Because they were held inside to block for Phillip Rivers a lot. Now that you have Carson Wentz out there using that play action pass, I think they're going to be even a lot more dangerous than what they were, how they were utilized last season, especially Moelle Cox, because he's shown that over the last couple of years that he can make some very big plays. And, of course, Jack Doyle is kind of that security blanket that he can run to, the way Zach Ertz was with him during his time in Philly. Do I think we should just sleep on our tight ends? No. If there's as we was talking about earlier, a role-playing type tight end, a receiving tight end that Ballard and company might like in the draft, I would absolutely be all for going after someone like that. Obviously, I don't expect it to happen in the first couple rounds, but possibly a day 3 pick, I think would be a great chance and opportunity to pick up someone at that position that could be someone that could stretch the field at the tight end position, where we've been kind of feeling around with that position between Trey Burton and then Mr.
Is Burton back?
I don't know.
Okay.
Between Trey Burton and I keep forgetting his name. What's his name? Colts talk, huh?
Molly Cox.
No.
The other one?
Ebron.
Oh God.
Between the couple tight ends. They
Ebron was
tried to
all
get.
luck. That was all luck.
I'm glad you forgot his name. To be honest.
I did. It took me forever to remember, but they went with the Ebron. They went with the Trey Burton for that, that stretch tight end type deal. But we noticed they could do that, but both those guys had issues with drops on the football, and neither one of them could block worth a darn, right? And when I have a tight end, I don't care as much about. I mean, first off, if he's a receiving time in, he better not be dropping the football all the time, right? And if you have even issues with dropping the football, you better be able to block, make up for it. Something you're doing good at that we can rely on you on a full-time basis. Kind of sucks that, in my opinion, the New England Patriots got both the best tight ends in this, free agency. Man,
we were never paying that much for him.
No, 12 and a half. Jonnu Smith, I think, is worth the $12.5 million a year. I don't know if Hunter Henry is, but I think Jonnu Smith legitimately is going to prove himself to be worth that.
Yeah, I like him
over
a lot,
the time because he can catch, he can block, he can do everything, and he doesn't have too many holes in his game, and then he's just a fantastic. I think he's going to be that Rob Gronkowski again, basically, for the New England Patriots. But that's my thought process on the tight end situation. Colts talk. I think I kind of haven't given you a chance to speak.
No, it's all good. I mean, it's your show. You're getting out your opinion. But for the tight end situation, I think since we have two veterans already, I think the next step is to draft a tight end out of the draft. Young, fast, he can learn how to block eventually. He won't be on the field as lot anyway. Being as though we have a bunch of weapons already, I think that'll probably be the best option to go. Now, of course, if they do get Ertz, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I think the three veterans is just not needed. So I would say draft a tight end that's young, and he can learn from Mo Alley Cox and a Jack Doyle who made the Pro Bowl. I think that'd be a good fit. We have a bunch of weapons already, so drafting one, it wouldn't hurt us at all. So I think that's where we should go.
Use the 4 on him?
Yeah, absolutely. I would use the 4, especially if there's one there.
Well, usually at 4, there's tight ends.
Yeah.
Now, well, if we're trading back, I wouldn't mind using the 4.
Right.
It depends upon what positions we still need to fill and how many picks we have in the draft, stuff like that. It's all situational. The draft, you never know how it's going to fall out, right? You don't know. So you have a plan, and then by round 2, that plan is completely gone, and you're just looking at your board going, okay, who am I grabbing now? Guys, we're 2 hours in. I've been sitting here. I have to use the bathroom. So what I'm going to mute myself for a minute. I'm going to let you guys kind of take over for a minute while I go and relieve myself, and I will be back shortly. All right.
I got questions for Colts Talk. I'll interview him while you're going to the bathroom.
Excellent.
So Mr. Colts Talk, where do you see? So you're going to rebrand your channel. I understand why it's actually a great idea. Get Colts. Anybody who's out there YouTubing, don't use somebody else's name in your channel name or your script. I own the trademark to that term, Just Plain Folks. I have for 35 years. So that's all I use for everything. But so yeah, getting a new brand is a great idea. Now, what is your plan? Like, where do you see your channel going? Like, is there a specific direction you want to expand into? What you must have some visions as to where you want to head. You're becoming a veteran. You've been doing this for a while now. Where do you see it going?
Well, actually, to as far as it can go, right now I'm with a group of Colts content creator, and we have a group together. So we're working on making big plans for like a content house type of thing. So we have big plans in the future for what we're doing. And all I have to do is, just keep going, keep pushing, making content. Sooner or later, I'm going to be interviewing other people, how I do now. But, there's a bunch of content and ideas I have in the future. Maybe one day I can go to Lucas Oil Stadium, have vlogs out and everything like that. So it's a bunch in store right now that I probably can't say, but it's a lot to, if you guys just stick with me, you're going to enjoy every second of it. I'm pretty sure.
So what I don't know much about your background. Were you a football player at any level? Did you play football at all or just a fan?
I'm just a fan for football purposes. I mean, I did play sports, but I did get hurt a lot, so that kind of leveraged me to not go at all.
Slow
So
you
I
down
think I was, yeah, I was like, you know what? Maybe I should just talk about it. So that's what I started to do anyway. So yeah.
And are you from Indiana or are you outside of Indiana?
Outside, I'm from DC, but I live in Virginia. But dream
What
home is in
attracted
Indy.
you to doing Colt stuff then?
That's a great question. The first team I ever watched on football wise was the Colts, and I liked what they were doing. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to stick with it, and I never switched up. Then that was the first team I watched.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Did you play in high school or anywhere else, Lawrence?
Yes.
Are you back on?
Yes.
What did you play?
I was one of those guys that played both sides. I was on a 5A high school, Marion Giants.
Yeah.
And I played tight end and safety. I'm 6'6". Now,
Right.
when I played football, I was 6'6" and about 210. Now, tight end was my main position, and you're thinking, safety at 6'6", that's a huge safety. But there was a reason for that. I was one of those role players. I was that guy that you just didn't, when I was out there playing safety, you did not throw the ball past me. You throw the ball deep, I'm coming down with it, right? I mean, that was the whole idea of me playing safety. We actually, in the 94 state championship, we got blown out by Ben Davis. It was awful.
But you made it there.
But we made it to the state championship. Yeah.
So I got you there. I won the state at Southeastern. The only year Southeasterners ever won the state championship was the year I was a senior there. But so did you ever have any interest in playing beyond high school?
Oh yeah, but I blew my knee out in said state championship game, and my offers were kind of pulled because.
Have you told this story before? I hadn't heard that story.
I told it on my audio podcast. I've never actually said it on my live streams, but yeah, it happens. It happens, and then on top of that, when you have a major injury like that, I cannot begin to fathom some of these guys, these pros that go through this stuff, because after it happened to me, there was a fear in me. All right. Of that happening again. Yes, I did not. I loved football. I love football to this day. I love playing football, love watching football, love talking about football. But this happened in high school, last game of high school. And I realized I'm going to go to college. And even if I, rehabbed and got back into it, I'm playing against all these guys that are equal with me now, in playing college. I did not want, I couldn't go through that again. Having reconstructive knee surgery is awful. Okay. And it scared me out of playing, out of putting my full effort into going back in and putting my effort into playing again. I've had minor injuries, where you mess up your fingers and roll your ankles and stuff like that. You play with that. But when you have a major injury, it can play serious mind games with you. And for guys like Kimoko Toure, who had that nasty ankle, bust that he had, and still come out and play, I have a huge amount of respect for these guys. Because it's just an amazing thing that they're able to get over that, because I don't consider myself a coward by any means, but when you have a pain that is that bad that you're literally asking the coach who's sitting over you while you're holding your leg to knock you out, you know what I mean? You're asking for that. I just a ton of respect for people like that. I've been through it, and I couldn't do it. But these guys are also getting paid millions of dollars to play the game as well. I was just going into college. Now, granted, that's a person's future of their life, but
so is being able to walk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. How long did it take you to get through? How long? Just one last question. How long did it take you to get through that rehab? That sounds like a major rehab.
It is. It took me 6 months before I could actually walk without any braces, and then it took me a good 2 years before I was able to run properly. So yeah, it's rough. I still got pins and a rod, and a plastic kneecap. So, but I wanted to bring up Jonathan Stringer down here. Listen, I've had it highlighted for a while. His favorite Colt tight end of all time was Kenny Dilger, and mine too. I just let you know. Yes, I understand Dallas Clark is out there, but I loved Ken Dilger because he was like a bowling ball with hands. Okay, I loved the guy. What was your guys's? Do you guys have a favorite player of a position that is not goes with the consensus of general Colts fans?
If it was for me, if it wasn't Gary Brackett, I would say Cato June. Cato June was one of my favorite players till this day. Like I always would, like even Madden, watching him on TV, he was one of my favorite underrated guys on the Colts roster, man. I just loved him. I don't know why. Maybe it was his name. But he was definitely a good talent.
Okay.
Mine go by errors. Just a little tip for anybody who likes Ken Dilger, including you, Lawrence. If you want to meet him, I can tell you how to meet him. If you go to a Colts game, if you get a ticket in the lower bowl, so anywhere in the lower bowl, which is a pretty big area, you can go to the place where they have the extra food, the nicer food, because you have a lower level ticket. And he's always in there. He's every single game I have been to in the new stadium. He's in there signing autographs. He's like a liaison for the Colts. And so he'll talk to you, hang out, tell you war stories. I mean, he's a great guy to talk to, real friendly. He's giant. And I'm not as nowhere big as you. I'm a little over 6'3", but and I had to look up to him. He's still a big dude to this day, but super nice guy. As far as favorites, because I've been a fan since, somebody said they were here since Pagel. Well, I was too. I have a story that can beat a lot of stories connected to. Before the Colts were even here, did you know they played a pro football game in Indiana? Does anybody know that? It's a little trivia for you. So the first ever in modern day, there used to be ancient teams that don't exist anymore, but the first modern day football game by pro football teams played in Indiana was 2 years before the Colts even came, and it was the Chargers against the Bills. It was a preseason game, and I was on my way to go there, and over in Fortville, Indiana, anybody who knows where Fortville, Indiana is, on my way, the back way to get there, I got hit broadsided by a train. And we had this weird detour, and you couldn't see that there was a bunch of trees, and there was no warning signs or anything. And I pulled up, and that was my first experience trying to see a football game at the new stadium that they just built. Because remember, they built that stadium 2 years before we had a team. Like they were just faithful that eventually they would get a team somehow. And so, yeah, so there's a trivia question that nobody can ever answer, but now you guys know the answer. The Bills and the Chargers played the first ever NFL game in the state of Indiana. But I like players from all. I guess if you say you have to pick one, just because of his tenacity and playing as an undersized defensive end, it's got to be Mathis, because that guy just contributed, and so he created the strip sack. I mean, he might as well have created it because that's what he's known for. I think he has the NFL record in strip sacks, and that was his thing, And with Freeney on the other side, can you imagine if we had those guys today? Oh my God!
Oh, that'd be nasty. We'd have the best defense in the NFL. Thornburg says Cato June. Brian says June was good. Brent Grimes, Eric Walden.
Eric Walden? That's interesting.
Dwayne Bickett. We all remember Dwayne Bickett. Yes, he was. He was a very good pass rusher. He played on the team with Jeff Herrod. Let's see, who else was on that defense, if I remember correctly. Big play Ray Buchanan was on that defense, if I remember.
We had Impman for like a year or whatever.
We had 3 years, and then he washed out of the NFL after 6.
Yeah, that was disappointing.
But Quentin Coriat, who lasted longer.
Wow, you're doing a good job pulling these names.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, I'm a Colts fan. I know, and I've been around a while.
They start blending for a while. Yeah, they start blending after a while.
They do. I'm not gonna. My favorite running back of all time is not Edgerrin James.
Much fun.
Rhodes?
Nope.
Dominic Rhodes?
Nope.
What?
And it's not Eric Dickerson.
Joseph Adai?
Nope.
Wow.
Albert Bentley.
I liked Bentley. Yeah, he was good.
Albert Bentley was the first running back that made me really, really love running backs. Now, Barry Sanders came out after that, and I was like, oh my God, Barry Sanders is the greatest running back in the history of football. Now, granted, there was great running backs before that, obviously. I mean, the late great Walter Payton and guys like that. But I loved Albert Bentley because he was a good all-around running back, right? He could catch the football out of the backfield, which you didn't see a whole lot of that back in those days, and I just liked his style of play, and it turned me on to his position. There was certain players in the NFL that turned me on to certain positions. Marvin Harrison yes, we had Bill Brooks. I understand that, but he was a good, but not like one of those guys that you go, oh, wow. Marvin Harrison was one of those guys that you go, oh, wow. Reggie Wayne was a workhorse receiver in my opinion.
He was. I was between him and Mathis because Reggie Wayne's kind of hard to beat too.
Yeah. Reggie Wayne is that bring your lunch pail and bust your butt to be a really good football player. Marvin Harrison was just something different about it. Yes, he worked his butt off too, but he had physical abilities and traits that were just unbelievable for the wide receiver position. He had some of the greatest catches I have ever seen any NFL player do. That time against, I think it was the Titans, where Peyton Manning legitimately overthrew him, and he
double covered.
And he dove out, caught this football with one hand, used his other hand to brace himself from the ground so that he would flip over and cradle the football so that there was no question that was a completed catch. And I was just like, I was at that. That was one of the games that I went to, and I was screaming at that game. Oh my goodness. But yeah, there was Ray Buchanan was one of those guys that turned me on to his position as well. We had now obviously pass rushers. Yes, we had great pass rushers. My favorite pass rusher for the Colts of all time is Freeney. I understand why you love Mathis. I understand why a lot of people love Mathis.
He did more with less, I thought.
Yeah.
He didn't have the skills that Freeney had. No. Freeney was a thoroughbred.
Yeah, he was. And he was good. I mean, anytime you take an all-pro left tackle and what he did, I think it was against the Ravens, and made him look so bad in the first half because he got 3 sacks against him that he ended up the coaching staff sat him the rest of the game in the second half because Freeney was making him look that bad, and I'm just like, wow, Freeney's awesome. Ooh, hey, look at that.
Corey Redden.
Yeah, I just seen the Corey Redden. That's a name I forgot about for a minute.
I remember that guy.
Mm-hmm. Really, Rhodes? Donnie Avery?
Who was your biggest? Here's a question for you guys. Who was your biggest disappointment Colt ever?
Ooh.
You already named him.
Pittman?
Biggest disappointment? That's tough. Who did you say?
Steve Ettman.
Steve Ettman. Okay. He was like the number 1 pick, wasn't he?
The number 1 pick of the draft.
Complete washout. Of course, we ended up getting Mandarich, but he was the number 1 pick, but not for us. But we ended up getting him.
He was picked by Green Bay,
right?
And he was known as the strongest.
He's considered the worst. He's considered the worst ever number 1 pick. Mm-hmm. I think Entman was actually worse because Mandarich became a serviceable average lineman for us for a few years, and Entman was never serviceable ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they said 2 names, Trent Richardson and Quincy Wilson. I really loved Quincy Wilson coming out of the draft. It was unexpected how that went with him. I mean, he just never could get it done. Man. And then we just got rid of him. But he was one of my favorite players coming out the draft that I can remember that I was like, okay, he's going to be nice in Indy, but he could just never become successful.
Deion Kane was a disappointment.
Oh, yeah.
I've got one much along those lines. Dante Moncrief.
Yep.
The first game I went, one of the first games I went to, that was him and T.Y. both completely went off against the Washington team that I can't name anymore. And and they both, and I remember looking at my wife saying, this was Moncrief's rookie year. And I'm like, that is the future of our team. That is going to be so amazing, because Moncrief he had like a 70-yard catch and like a bunch of other acrobatic catches in that game and just was lighting it up. And I'm like, oh my God, I was so excited. And man, that was like the end of his highlights pretty much. He just like went downhill and then nothing. That was a huge disappointment.
Now, Malik Hooker currently is a disappointment. I still think that if he can stay healthy and finds the right team, I think he could blow.
Wrong scheme for him.
I think if he could stay healthy and find the right team, I think he could legitimately blow up and become a top 5 free safety in the NFL. But things have to work out for him in order for that to happen, and it won't happen with the Colts. I don't think.
He needs the right scheme.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%.
Jerry Hughes. Yeah, that's disappointing for a different reason. Yeah.
Well, I mean, not just Jerry Hughes. I mean, we've got a whole bunch of offensive linemen that did not work for us.
Starting team out of guys that we cast off that played. AQ Shipley. Shipley started at center and was rated like the number 1 center in the league. And for whatever reason, Grigson made West play that that guy that he got. He was like a Jerry. I was gonna say Jerry Hughes is not Jerry Hughes. There was a Johnson, I think maybe was his name. He was a center that he got, was a free agent center that he was so excited about, and that guy was terrible. That was when our line was just horrendous.
Yeah.
And the AQ Shipley was kicking ass. That guy, just until he had to retire for health reasons, was still starting for teams, and we just cast him off for no reason. That still gets me upset, because he wanted to hit Harrison. That's the guy's name, Jonathan Harrison.
Jonathan Harrison.
And he wanted to play Jonathan Harrison, who sucked. That guy was a terrible. I played center in college and in high school, and that guy was a terrible center. And they got rid of AQ Shipley, who proved. And then we have Austin Blythe, cast him off.
Why still?
We draft. Yeah, he's still right. He's a starter. He's not a bad. He's definitely top half. I mean, like,
Denzel Good is a starter in the NFL.
Why did we just toss him away? I don't understand. I don't.
Well, now Denzel Good, I don't think is at fault by the rest of it. It was, Coach Guglielmo. I don't know if you heard the rumors on what happened, on why Denzel Good requested to be released from the Colts.
Are these Twitter rumors?
No, this is something
they're true if they're on Twitter.
No, this is something Denzel Good specifically said.
Oh, okay.
Happened, and then the
can't
Colts
repeat it.
Yeah, and I can repeat it, but the Colts would not say admit or disagree or anything like that to what Denzel Good said. So that tells me if they're refuse to comment on the situation, kind of to me says that probably happened, right? Because
what was the nature of what he said?
Denzel Good's brother was shot and killed in Florida, and he took a couple weeks off, went back, spent time with family. He got back. Coach Guglielmo told him, "You will never play another snap for me ever again, because the team comes before."
Is that
your
why
life.
they tossed his ass out?
And
they did fire him out.
Yep. And then at the end of the year, Guglielmo did not play or was not a coach for the Colts anymore.
That leads me to believe it was true.
Yeah. And now I can't.
I heard he was a hard ass in that respect. Yeah. Now I know why, because I never understood why. I knew his reputation was that kind of shit. Oh, sorry about that. That kind of stuff. But
we're 2.5 hours in. I don't think I'm going to get demonetized.
It's YouTube. You're not going to get demonetized for that. Believe me. It's. I mean, Pat McAfee's not demonetized. They use everything in the book. So, you don't worry about that. But I like it. Clean channel though is a good idea. Yes. So anyway, I'd heard that he was this horrible guy, but that's the first story attached to it. But that is enough for me. I'm like, I would have fired him immediately. But
Zach Banner still starts for Pittsburgh, I think. He's
there was
right
a bunch
tackle.
of names. Somebody said
he thought he would be ready, and he wasn't ready yet, and they couldn't wait. I just think that, and I think that I'm sorry, Colts. I didn't mean to interrupt you because you were getting ready to say something.
No, I was talking to the comment section. They mentioned a few names like Dorsett, Donald Brown. There was a bunch of names, but that's all.
Yeah. So, Yeah, Donald Brown. I like Donald Brown. He had some moments when he was
Yeah, me
good.
too.
He was really good. He was so good in college. Did you guys ever see him play a game in college? Oh my gosh, he was so good in college. And he had moments where he looked like brilliant on our field, but it just wasn't every moment, and it wasn't all the time. He was so small and slight that he couldn't blast his way through anybody.
Yeah,
I can remember some crazy runs that he had and won us some games in a couple of cases too. That's a name from the past I'd forgotten about. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Guys, it is getting late for me. It's 7:30 now on the Eastern Standard thing going on, and I've been going for about 2.5 hours. I got birthday celebration I have to do downstairs with my family. I haven't done yet.
Gotcha.
Haven't eaten anything yet today either. But I want to thank so much. First off, Just Plain Folks, would you tell people a little bit about yourself, what you're into, where they can find you, stuff?
I jump on other people's sports channels and talk to them just because I love talking about it. I just don't have the time right now because I work in the music industry. I run a music organization, have for 35 years. It's called Just Plain Folks. If you look up Just Plain Folks on all the social media, you can find us on all of it. But I love doing this too. So I thought about starting a channel, and I thought, I'm just going to go out and support everybody else's channels, get on, pop on. Usually I have something to say about just about anything. So, and I might start getting more involved. I'm talking to a few people about maybe getting some things together to get more involved with the stuff that's going on. But like I told Lawrence before you got on Colts Talk, I'm all for working with each other and building the community together. And I've been talking to him about this for a while, and I think that's the way to go. And so it's good to hear that you're kind of doing something of that nature. I know you're working on stuff too, Lawrence, and hopefully I can jump in on some stuff you guys are doing at some point in time. So, but you can look up Just Plain Folks if you're a musician. I have a YouTube channel with one real video that I just posted. I'm doing interviews right now with a bunch of people for future stuff. Some people that are famous, some people that are not famous, but have done really interesting things. And then I love talking sports. So thank you for having me on. This was a lot of fun, Lawrence, and happy birthday to you again. So nice to meet you, Colts Talk. And I'll be seeing all of your guys. I don't miss any of your videos. So
yeah, Colts Talk. All right. If you guys don't follow him, you need to follow him also. Colts Talk on YouTube. Go check it out. But go ahead and let them know all the stuff that you're going through right now, because you over the past month have really kind of expanded yourself quite a bit.
Yeah, man. Colts Talk, we got a lot of things in store. Most of it's going to be explained on Twitter when it's all situated, but you guys follow me on Instagram, Colts Talk, TikTok, Colts Talk. Follow me on YouTube as Colts Talk. I'll be sure. I even have a Discord. If you want the link, follow me on Twitter, DM me. I'll put you in there as well so you can stay up to date. Bunch of content on the way. You guys stay tuned. Also, happy birthday, Lawrence. If you haven't subscribed or hit the like button on this channel yet, what are you waiting for? You've been in here for almost 3 hours. Go ahead and do so. And today was a great episode, man.
Yeah, I think so too. You guys really help. I love having guests on, and it's even better when they're really good guests. And I am going to drop you guys in that category because having a conversation with both of you, it was never boring, right? And I really enjoyed a lot of the points that both of you bring up. Thank you, everybody who has been watching the stream for my birthday. Sorry, my cat started getting sick right there, right beside me on the chair. Ugh. Until next time, I'm Lawrence Owen. That's Colts Talk. That's Just Plain Folks. As usual, have a good one.